the Almighty Pokémon Master. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 551 Lively Speech. After Long Zhao spoke for a while, he changed the topic. I think my performance this time should be okay. When I meet your senior sister Li again, she won't say anything about me. But when I received the invitation to come to Magic City, I thought that Li Zuxian Wang also graduated from Magic City University. I'm going to give a speech at her alma mater. I feel a lot of pressure. On the stage, Long Zhao joked, causing the students below to laugh and applaud. Okay, that's all I want to say this time. If there is anything wrong with what I said, students and teachers are welcome to correct me. Pa pa pa. Everyone in the venue applauded, and the whole space was thunderous with applause. The applause gradually subsided. Several people asked him questions, and Long Zhao answered them. Of course, there were so many people on the stage that he couldn't reply to them one by one, and he jumped to answer. Long Xian Wang, can I challenge you? At this time, a boy in the stage shouted. After this, the whole audience quieted down and looked at the boy who wanted to challenge Long Zhao. Well, I know I'm definitely not your opponent, but I just want to challenge you. The boy was being watched by so many people, his face turned slightly red, and he continued. I want you, the king, to. Another boy shouted in the crowd, and then many people challenged Long Zhao. For a while, the voices of challenge continued. There are not many opportunities to fight with strong people, and even fewer opportunities to fight with famous masters. In the elf era, elf battles have become an elegant thing and do not seem unreasonable. Okay. Long Zhao on the stage agreed. However, there are so many of you here. If I agree to all of them, I'm afraid I can't leave Magic City University today. Long Zhao said humorously, and then said, how about this? I will randomly select 5 people to fight against elves. Is that okay? After this, the voices in the audience changed and became choose me and choose a few more people. Sorry, classmates. I have something to do this afternoon. Let's make it like this. If I have the chance to come to Magic City next time and I have some free time, I can play more games. The audience agreed and looked forward to Long Zhao choosing them so that they could play against him. Among the people who asked to play, Zhang Xingyun also saw his roommates Lan Yuchen and Qian Ziaming. It's the classmate just now. Long Zhao pointed at the boy who spoke for the first time and invited him. The boy who was chosen was very happy and ran out of the crowd to the battlefield. Long Zhao walked down from the stage, shook hands with the boy in a friendly manner, and after a few more words, the two sides stood on both sides of the field. Long Zhao took out the Pokeball and threw it out. The next moment, a red-faced dragon appeared on the stage, roaring with full momentum, which was quite powerful. Blue Golduck also appeared on the stage a few seconds later. The red-faced dragon's strength is at the peak of the middle stage of the Quasi-King, while the Golduck opposite it is at the late stage of the Quasi-King. Long Zhao had expected to send out the red-faced dragon. After all, he had noticed that the students in the Demon City had the strength of a king, so it was more appropriate to send out the red-faced dragon. The red-faced dragon was not Long Zhao's first tier Pokémon, and he could not send out his main Pokémon for the student competition. Long Zhao signaled him to attack first. Then I won't be polite. Golduck's freezing ray. A cold freezing ray shot out, and the red-faced dragon stood there without any reaction. Zzzz. The freezing ray shot at the red-faced dragon, and a large white mist filled the air. Power or the roar of the red-faced dragon sounded in the mist, accompanied by the sound of ice breaking. The next second, a figure ran out from the mist and quickly killed Golduck. Looking closely, the figure was the red-faced dragon, and the red-faced dragon's claws were still covered with ice chips, and it struck the claws of the Golduck. Bang, bang, bang. The two elves on the field fought fiercely, and gorgeous moves burst out. Red-faced dragon has been trained to be not afraid of the cold. The training method of Dragon King is very unique, Zhang Xingyun said. He saw the scene in the white fog clearly. Golduck's freezing light hit red-faced dragon, but it seemed that it had little effect on it. It quickly broke the ice and launched an attack without any delay. He is a person who often fights with King. For the moves that restrain dragons, he will naturally start training in this aspect. Nangang Yeo beside him analyzed, and Zhang Xingyun also thought this conclusion made sense. Bang, bang, bang on the field. After the two elves fought fiercely for more than 10 rounds, Golduck, which was stronger, lost its fighting ability first, and red-faced dragon won the victory. The whole process was very fast, and Golduck, which was in the late stage of King, was defeated by red-faced dragon in the middle stage of King. Warm applause broke out at the right time. There was no doubt about the performance of red-faced dragon, as if the result was supposed to be like this. On the field, the two were talking about something, and the boy nodded repeatedly. It should be Long Zhao who was instructing him. After the instruction, Long Zhao selected several students to compete. The fighting time was long and short. The short one was only a few minutes, and the long one was more than 10 minutes. They all ended in victory. For his record, everyone took it for granted. Long Zhao would give guidance and suggestions to the students who lost the competition. This was also one of his responsibilities. The King of China also has the obligation to teach, but the king has many affairs and is usually very busy. He has little free time and rarely has time to teach. Well, my trip to the Magic City ends here today. Farewell, classmates. Long Zhao returned to the stage and said to the microphone, "No, let's talk for a while. Long Xian Wang, you haven't had a fight with Brother Zhen and his friends who have the strength of a Xian Wang in our Magic City University." I second the motion. Long Xian Wang, let's have a few more battles at the level of Xian Wang. Yes, yes, Long Xian Wang, our school students with the strength of a Xian Wang. Brother Zhen and his friends haven't appeared yet, give us a chance. The people on the stage suggested that Long Zhao have a few more battles at the level of Xian Wang. Seeing everyone like this, Long Zhao looked at his watch and found that there was still time. Ahem, since everyone said so, I'd better obey your orders. After all, my future salary will still come from you. I have to consider the taxpayers' words. Long Zhao said with a smile, thinking that there was still time, and it was hard to refuse such a kind offer, so he agreed. Chapter 552 A different battle. Is classmate Zhen here? Long Zhao asked. There was a commotion in the audience, and after a while someone said Zhen Qianyi was not in school, but was traveling. Yue and Yuanhe happened to be in the school, and upon hearing the noise, they stood up and came to the stage. When the two came on stage, the audience applauded enthusiastically, cheering for them. Hello, Dragon King. Hello, classmate. I remember I met you at Imperial Capital University last year. Hahaha, I didn't expect you to remember Dragon King. Of course. Joa, are we going? This is a chance to learn from Dragon King. While the three people on the stage were chatting, Zhang Xingyun, who was sitting in the corner, said, "Do you want to go? If so, I'll go with you." Nangang Yeo turned her head to look at Zhang Xingyun and said with a smile, "Are you classmate Zhang Xingyun?" As soon as Zhang Xingyun finished speaking, a female voice sounded beside him, and the voice was a little uncertain. "It's you. Nangang is here too. Why don't you two go up? I remember that you two are both trainers with the strength of a heavenly king." A pretty girl said loudly. The students sitting around also heard this, and turned their heads to look at the two. "Freshman champion Zhang is here too. Why don't you go up? This is such a good opportunity. You can spar with Dragon Heavenly King and get his guidance. It will also be good for you. It's not often that you can have a chance to spar with a trainer of Dragon Heavenly King's level." Everyone sitting around urged the two to go on stage. Go on stage. Zhang Xingyun stood up. He wanted to go on stage in the first place, and now he went with the flow. Seeing Zhang Xingyun go up, Nangang Yeo followed him up. Halfway through, he met Liu Ruhan who went up on stage with him. "Your three-headed dragon has broken through," Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. If he met him here, there was only one possibility, that is, his three-headed dragon had broken through. Hahaha, you guessed it right. My three-headed evil dragon has made a small breakthrough and now barely has the strength of a king. Liu Ruhan laughed. While the two were talking, they came to the field. This year's Magic City University is really full of talents. Seeing the three people go on stage, Long Zhao said, stretched out his hand and shook hands with the three people. Long Shai and Wang, you are too kind. No, 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 I'm not praising you. Student Zhang defeated many students from the imperial capital in this exchange competition. His performance was very impressive. Long Zhao looked at Zhang Xingyun and praised him. In this case, let's have a different battle today. Different battle? Zhang Xingyun and the other 5 were a little confused, not knowing what Long Zhao meant. It means that the 5 of you cooperate and send out elves together to fight in a 5 vs 1 way, just like in the wild. Long Zhao looked at the puzzled expressions of the 5 people and explained. Hearing this, Zhang Xingyun also became interested. He looked at the others. Liu Ruhan and the others seemed to be very interested, so they agreed. Do you need some time to discuss tactics? Seeing that the 5 people agreed, Long Zhao asked, then took out a Pokeball and threw it out. It was a mid-level peak of the Heavenly King. My Pokémon is a Sonic Dragon, with the strength of a mid-level Heavenly King, and its characteristic is telepathy. Long Zhao explained, letting the 5 people know about the Sonic Dragon. It seems that we don't have anything to discuss. After all, we only have a few Heavenly Kings, and there is nothing to discuss. Liu Ruhan shook his head and released the 3-headed dragon. He was probably the weakest among the 5. That's right, there are indeed not many choices, and there is no need to discuss any tactics. UNHUO also took out a Pokeball and threw it out. A Blaziken appeared on the field, with blazing flames on his body, looking very energetic, and with some strength of the peak of the late Quasi-headed King. Wei also took out a Pokeball and released a charm. Charm is a Pokémon similar to humans. Its height is slightly shorter than that of an adult. It is a Pokémon with both psychic and fighting element. Its strength is not much different from that of Blaziken, and it is also at the peak of the late Quasi-King. Then I'll choose Gardevoir. Gardevoir appeared beside Nangang Yao, and the aura it exuded also reached the peak of the late Quasi-King, which was even stronger than Charm. The waves behind push the waves ahead. Junior sister, your Gardevoir is very strong. Wei said, after feeling the power emanating from Gardevoir. Charizard, with its tail flashing with blue flames, came out of the Pokeball. This unique scene attracted several people to look over. My Charizard is a little special. Zhang Xingyun explained with a smile, and several people nodded, expressing their understanding. There are so many Pokémon, and there are also some that are different from the same kind. The 5 Pokémon stood forward and confronted the Sonic Dragon. They are all good Pokémon. Looking at the 5 Pokémon, Long Zhao praised. Afterwards, the 2 sides walked to the sides of the field and stood ready to fight. Do you need time to Mega Evolve? If not, let's start. Let's start. There was no referee on the field, just a simple signal was enough. As soon as the voice fell, the sound wave dragon turned into a residual image and appeared in front of the 5 elves with a whoosh at an extremely fast speed. Bang Archa in the first time, the sound wave dragon interrupted the mega evolution of Cherim and also repelled the 3-headed dragon. Gardevoir pressed Charizard and avoided the attack with a teleportation in the first time. The speed of Flame Chicken was not slow either. Although it was a bit slower, the main attack of the sound wave dragon was not it, so it was safe and sound. It ran on the field, and the speed was getting faster and faster. Quickly reinforce Cherim. The goal of the sound wave dragon is to deal with Cherim first. UV said anxiously. Blaze a knee kick, rush to support. 3-headed dragon god dive. Garvastite, use telekinesis to interfere with it. Charizard, charge over. 4 Pokémons rushed over to reinforce Cherim. The 5 were caught off guard from the beginning, and even Cherim, who was in the process of mega evolution, was interrupted. As if it didn't notice the incoming attack, Sonic Dragon attacked Cherim with all its strength. Bang with a muffled sound, Blazer Sneak Kick was avoided, and it dodged, and also avoided the 3-headed dragon god dive. Which telekinesis didn't interfere with it either, and a wave of dragon power hit Cherim, who was retreating, and Sonic Dragon leaped up and soared into the sky, shifting its target to Charizard. A stuntman rushed over. Charizard, Flame Vortex, prepare to attack. Charizard stopped and was wrapped in a vortex of flames. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 553, 5 vs 1. Bang! Sonic Dragon and Charizard collided violently, and then Charizard fell straight down. When Sonic Dragon attacked again, Gardevoir took action in time and teleported Charizard to the other side. Taking advantage of the gap just now, Gardevoir had completed its super evolution. After moving Charizard away, it attacked Sonic Dragon and temporarily restrained it. Charizard's body lit up and started super evolution. After repelling Gardevoir, Sonic Dragon turned sideways and rolled a few times, came to the top of Charizard's head, and swooped down. Unfortunately, it was a little too late. Charizard's super evolution was completed, rushed forward, and fought fiercely with Sonic Dragon, and the sound of metal clashing rang out. Bang! In the end, Charizard was still defeated by Sonic Dragon, and was knocked to the ground. A blaze flashed, and the reinforcement of Mega Blaziken arrived, blocking Sonic Dragon's attack and entangled it. Charizard took the opportunity to fly away from the scene. Other three-headed dragon's attack also arrived, with red light in its eyes. The pressure it exuded at this time was that of a level 1 Heavenly King Elf. Spirit Attachment Technique. Zhang Xingyun took the opportunity to perform the Spirit Attachment Technique, providing Charizard with an amplification, allowing Super Charizard X to enter the Heavenly King realm. After feeling the bursting energy in his body, Charizard turned back and killed again, cooperating with other elves to attack the Soundwave Dragon. Cherrim on the side was half crouching on the ground, with many injuries on his body. In the sudden attack of the Soundwave Dragon just now, the main target of the attack was Cherrim. At the beginning of the battle, one elf on their side was seriously injured, and two elves were slightly injured. It also shows Long Zio's strength and ability to judge the situation from another aspect. Cherrim, are you okay? Seeing Cherrim like this, Yueli said worriedly. Cherrim rested on the ground for a while, and finally stood up, indicating that it was okay. Then go ahead, Cherrim, Mega Evolution. UV took out the keystone and activated Mega Evolution. The light dissipated, and Mega Cherrim appeared on the field. The battlefield in the distance was also approaching this side. Mega Cherrim cheered up and joined the battle. In the battle group, the main force was naturally not Cherrim, but Gardevoir and Blaziken. Facing the attack of 5 king level Pokémon, Sonic Dragon was not in a hurry, turned into a residual image, and rushed into the 5 Pokémon, extremely brave. Other three-headed dragon cried out in pain, and several heart-piercing scratches appeared on its back, which were left by Sonic Dragon. When it was about to attack, it disappeared again. Gardevoir, Trick Space. Nangan gave orders to Gardevoir. A square barrier was condensed by Gardevoir, covering all the Pokémons. Affected by this skill, Sonic Dragon's speed slowed down a bit, not as fast as before. And the 5 Pokémons attacked one after another, throwing out colorful moves. Boom boom boom, a rumble sounded on the field, the earth and rocks collapsed, smoke and dust rolled, and under this influence, the magic space also dissipated. Soundwave Dragon rushed out from the smoke, with a little black smoke on its body. This attack did not seriously injure it. It has not lost its combat ability yet, don't relax. Zhang Xingyun shouted, giving orders to Charizard. Charizard flapped its wings and flew, wrapped in billowing flames, and rushed forward. The other Pokémons also made their own moves, performing their own moves. Soundwave Dragon did not fight Charizard, but dodged past it, narrowly avoiding the attacking moves again, and rushed into the 4 Pokémons. Bang bang bang, another close-range battle. Soundwave Dragon flew out again, looking calm and unhurried. The originally seriously injured Cherrim had lost consciousness and lay on the ground. The injuries on the three-headed dragon were also getting worse, and even the Blaziken was injured. The one in the best condition was Gardevoir. The Soundwave Dragon turned around and faced the returning Charizard. Bang! Charizard raised his left hand and took the attack from the Soundwave Dragon. Bang! The attack from the right came again. Left, right, side, top, behind. Bang bang bang. Charizard was always being beaten and couldn't find a chance to fight back. Seeing this, Zhang Xingyun also assisted Charizard to teleport and temporarily avoid the attack of the Sound Wave Dragon. As soon as he made a move, the attack of the Sound Wave Dragon arrived at an extremely fast speed. No, if we continue like this, we will be defeated one by one. We have to adjust our strategy, UNHUO suggested. The situation on the field was very clear now. Even if they were outnumbered, they would not be able to gain any advantage. We have to adjust our strategy. Zhang Xingyun nodded in agreement. Only if we slow it down can we have a chance. Liu Ruhan also put forward his own point of view. Yu Wei took back her cherem and stood aside to watch. You three will be the main force, and I will assist. With Gardevoir's teleportation, we should be able to shorten the distance in terms of speed. Moreover, Xingyun and I can also assist from the side. The chances of winning are still not small. Nangang Yeo said. That's fine. Agreed. Nangang Yeo's words were recognized by several people, and then they began to fight in a regular manner. Gardevoir, after receiving Nangang Yeo's order, Gardevoir quickly took action. The figure flashed, and with two Pokémon, it appeared in the battle place between Charizard and Sonic Dragon. Joined Charizard to attack together. 3 Pokémon attacked Sonic Dragon from 3 directions, and Gardevoir also supported it. Sound Wave Dragon also knew that the situation had changed. It turned into a residual image and took the lead in confronting the 3-headed dragon. When Charizard and Blaziken flew over, it turned back. Blaziken fell to the ground to gain momentum and then kicked with a flying knee. Bang! After repelling the 3-headed dragon, Sound Wave Dragon avoided Blaziken's attack with a flying turn and went straight to Charizard behind it. When Charizard saw the situation, it raised its momentum and a large amount of rolling flames came out of its body. It turned into a dragon of fire and rushed forward. Soon Charizard found that Sound Wave Dragon's target was not it, but Gardevoir behind it. Gardevoir teleported and pulled away, but Sound Wave Dragon chased behind it and slashed out wind blades. Gardevoir sent out a fairy power and rushed forward, perishing together with the air blade, making an explosion in the air, and the air wave rolled. The Sound Wave Dragon rushed out of the air wave and attacked again at a very fast speed. The opportunity has come. Gardevoir uses all its strength to trick the space. Gardevoir's Zhang Xingyun saw this. His eyes flashed blue, and he sent Charizard and the others into the air. Several Pokémons once again broke out in a fierce battle in this space. Chapter 554 Defeat. Boom boom, colorful moves bloomed in that space, and then there was a big explosion. Whoosh whoosh, several figures flew out at the same time, and with a snap, some stood on the ground, and some lay on the ground. Pop Sonic Dragon also fell to the ground, with black smoke still coming out of his body. He was also injured in the previous attack. Gyarados Gardevoir took action again. Charizard and several Pokémon, enduring the discomfort of their bodies, fought Pokémon to cooperate with Gardevoir. Bang bang bang, the two sides started fighting again, and the ending was similar to the first time, with both sides injured. But anyone with a discerning eye could see that the situation had stabilized. Charizard was already able to compete with Sonic Dragon, and could also cause damage to it. If this continued, the outcome was unpredictable. Zhang Xingyun's side might win. The audience on the stage were also cheering for their favorite trainers. Long Zio stood aside, with a smile on his face, not in a hurry, even if the situation on the field changed. Not bad, you know how to cooperate in such a short time. Long Zio smiled, and then said, since you trainers have helped, I can do it too. As soon as he finished speaking, a stream of energy burst out from his body, reflecting each other with Sonic Dragon from a distance. Sonic Dragon's momentum increased greatly, and the two sides fought fiercely again. Bang bang bang, Charizard and other Pokémon retreated again, and even Gardevoir was injured. Dragon Power. Zhang Xingyun and others naturally recognized Long Zio's explosion. This was the Dragon Power of the Long family. Sonic, with the addition of Dragon Power, Sonic Dragon's appearance changed slightly. A pattern appeared on its wings, and its body became thicker. Its strength also reached the level of the late Heavenly King. Raw Sonic Dragon rushed forward again, at an extremely fast speed. Charizard and other Pokémon quickly gathered together, and Gardevoir also used skills to resist Sonic Dragon's attack. Boom boom boom, the two sides started fighting again, with Sonic Dragon fighting one against many. Their figures crisscrossed, and their skills flew. 2 minutes later, under the focus of Sonic Dragon, the three-headed dragon lost its combat ability first. 2 minutes later, Blaziken lost its combat ability. 3 minutes later, Charizard also lost its combat ability, fell to the ground, and exited the super evolution state. Now only Gardevoir has not lost its combat ability on the field, and is still dealing with Sonic Dragon, but the situation is very clear, and it is only a matter of time for Gardevoir to lose. After another 5 minutes, Gardevoir still lost. So far, the 5 people have ended in failure after joining forces. But this is not shameful. Their opponent is not an ordinary trainer, but Dragon King, one of the 4 heavenly kings of China. They are still in the battle, and they also forced him to use the dragon power. This battle has been fierce for so long. Pa 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 woohoo. As soon as the result came out, the field was instantly jubilant, with thunderous applause, cheering for the wonderful performance of several people. I almost lost this time. Come on, I think you will be able to defeat me next time we meet. After Zhang Xingyun and his friends took back the elves, Long Zhao came over and chuckled. Still a long way to go. He shook her head and smiled. Zhang Xingyun and his friends were the same. They knew their own strengths and the gap between them, and Long Zhao was still quite large. Zhang Xingyun also silently raised the time to catch up with Long Zhao from 5 years to 7 years, but he didn't know if 7 years would be enough to catch up. Long Zhao is now 27 or 28. After 7 years, he will be 25, which is about right. Hahaha, actually you are not familiar with this fighting method. Another reason is cooperation. When you are performing tasks, or working in the wild, when you encounter powerful opponents, you can cooperate with each other in battle. In this way, the combat effectiveness is more than 1 + 1 = 2. Now there are 5 of you in this battle. Then you can command 5 elves at the same time and fight together in the future. Build a systematic combat system, and consider the attribute coordination. Long Zhao was sharing some of his insights, and everyone nodded from time to time to show that they were taught. Okay, I'll stop here. After talking for a while, Long Zhao stopped. Thank you for the guidance of Long Shai and Wang. Several people thanked him, and Long Zhao said no. At the suggestion of the school leaders, everyone took a photo together to put an end to Long Zhao's speech. Afterwards, Zhang Xingyun and several others accompanied them, and several leaders in the school visited Modu University with Long Zhao and had lunch together. Among them, Long Zhao's way of dealing with people made everyone get along very naturally and left a good impression. You are all going to participate in the national competition, right? Long Zhao asked, walking on the school road, holding a bunch of flowers. The flowers in his arms were naturally sent by his fans. Along the way, Long Zhao received a lot of things, even snacks. Yes, I will go. I will participate too. Everyone answered, saying that they would go. Then come on, I look forward to seeing you in the finals. Long Zhao encouraged, and then said, our Chinese superstar uniforms will also be changed. You will have a lot to do in the future. Come on. Reform? Change what? Zhang Xingyun asked. I don't know the details yet. I will know later. Okay, I'll send it here. After sending you thousands of miles away, there will be a farewell. Dear leaders and classmates, thank you for your hospitality. After saying goodbye to everyone for a while, Long Zhao released his trump card Dragonite, jumped on it, waved goodbye to everyone, soared into the sky, and flew away. After watching Long Zhao leave, Zhang Xingyun and others also walked back. Champion level Dragonite purple qualification, and the power of dragon control, worthy of being Dragon King. Zhang Xingyun sighed in his heart. When Dragonite came out just now, he used the system to scan it, and knew the strength of Dragonite. Such configuration is extremely luxurious. Dragon King is quite easy to get along with. He speaks quite humorously and interestingly, unlike other people who have a sullen face. Yue said loudly. Haha, this time I communicated with Dragon King. I found my own shortcomings. After returning, I will focus on training several times. My 3-headed dragon should quickly enter the first level of the king. Liu Ruhan also said. Just now, he asked Long Zhao several questions. As a dragon expert, Long Zio also gave him a lot of advice, which benefited him a lot. Indeed, Dragon King has a very high understanding of dragon type elves, and his suggestions are of great reference value. Chapter 555 Impulse. At the corner, Zhang Xingyun said goodbye to everyone and went to the training room with Nangang Yao. Long Xianwang is worthy of being one of the 4 heavenly kings of China. The 5 of us are not bad either. When we join forces, we can't even beat his sound Wave dragon, Zhang Xingyun said, and walked to his original position and sat down. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to take on the position of the 4 heavenly kings. That's right. Zhang Xingyun smiled and looked at the computer. At this moment, someone had uploaded the video of their competition with Long Zio today in the forum of Magic City University, and it was quite popular. The editing is not bad. Zhang Xingyun clicked in to take a look and commented that the important perspective in the video was mainly Long Zio, and several wonderful shots of the elves were also captured. They also took advantage of this battle to increase their popularity, and many people tagged them below. Zhang Xingyun and his friends' forum accounts also gained a lot of views and attention. Look, they put the video of today's battle on the forum. It's quite popular. Zhang Xingyun pointed at the computer and said to Nangang Yao, well, after all, there is Dragon King here, so it's understandable. Nangang Yao said lightly. She was used to this situation. Train well, champion. Zhang Xingyun murmured, took out his notes, and made some adjustments to the recent training plan. He also gained something from the battle with Long Zio today. Nido Hassan in the training room, Giant Claw Mantis and Nidoking were quietly honing their strength, and the electric beasts were also training, carrying out the training tasks assigned by Zhang Xingyun. Haunter was lying in a corner and being lazy. Zhang Xingyun found it and urged it to train. Busy, this day passed quickly. After dinner, Zhang Xingyun went back to the dormitory after sending Nangang Yao to the girls' dormitory. When he just came back to the dormitory and opened the door, he found that the 3 roommates were there. In addition to Lang Yuchen and the other 2, Jian Wenchen from the same class was also there, eating together. Old second is back, come and have a hot pot with us. Lang Yuchen called out, and Zhang Xingyun realized that the 3 roommates were having hot pot in the dormitory. Hot pot, it's good. Zhang Xingyun walked over and found a chair to sit down. Come on, old second, these Quintero brand fat beef. Seeing Zhang Xingyun sitting down, Lang Yuchen took a large chopstick of meat and came over. No, just eat it, I've eaten outside, just drink some beer. Zhang Xingyun refused and took a sip of beer. I wanted to tell you, but I thought you were very busy these days, always with your girlfriend, so I informed you. Lang Yuchen said with a smile, putting a bunch of vegetables into simmer. Wenchen, how is your progress? Long Zhao is not easy to pursue. Well, it's just like that, no progress. Jian Wenchen said a little depressed. I want to ask her out to play. I have asked her out many times, but she always refuses. I dare not ask her out again, because I'm afraid that she will annoy me. There is no progress at present. Let's go. The 5 people clinked their lips and continued to eat and drink. People like Long Zhao are hard to pursue at first glance. Qian Xiuming said lightly. She has an extraordinary family background, is a beautiful woman, and has high knowledge. If you want to pursue her, you can only defeat her in the aspect of Pokémon battle. However, her trainer strength is also very high. With your current strength, Wenchen, it's difficult. At this point, Qian Xiuming shook his head. Or Wenchen, you should give up. Don't hang yourself on a tree. There is still a forest in the university. Lang Yuchen also advised. Let's talk about it later. It's rare for me to be moved. It's about to end before it even starts. It's outrageous. Don't think about it. Come on, let's drink. Several people started eating again, chatting and talking, and the atmosphere was warm. If you ask me, the most successful one among us is you, Xingyun. I don't know how you won Nangang's heart. You got the beauty, right? Ha ha ha. Lang Yuchen laughed. Zhang Xingyun just smiled and said nothing. By the way, I remember that you and Nangang went to high school together. Many beautiful love stories are brought up from high school. Unfortunately, I didn't. Ha ha ha. Qian Xiuming also said. During the dinner, it was mainly Lan Yachin and the other two who were talking, but due to the alcohol, the tone of their voices also became higher. Fortunately, the apartment-style dormitory had good sound insulation and did not disturb others. I said last night that Long Xianwan would come to our school. Look, he came today. As they chatted, they talked about Long Zio's recent visit to the Magic City. He is still as strong as ever. Facing the attacks of 5 elves of the same level, he can also fight back. Even our General of Victory was defeated, Lan Yachin said, and the General of Victory in his words naturally referred to Zhang Xingyun. How did you feel fighting with Dragon King today? Were you excited? Fortunately, I was able to perform normally, but Dragon King is really strong and has a very accurate grasp of the battle situation. Zhang Xingyun recalled the battle during the day and exclaimed, "Haha, let's go with another one." The 5 of them clinked their glasses again and continued to drink, eat and chat, and drank a lot of wine. I've decided. Suddenly, Jian Wenchen stood up and said loudly, "What have you decided?" "I've decided to confess to her now," Jian Wenchen said with a slightly red face. "Are you serious?" "Yes, I'm serious. I'm going to give it a try. Whether I succeed or fail, it will be an explanation to me," Jian Wenchen said very confidently, and then he left his seat and ran out. This wave of operations made Zhang Xingyun and the other 4 a little confused. Lan Yachin stood up first and followed him out. "Wait for me." Kai and Xiuming also followed behind and ran out together. "Should we follow?" Pei Chenjin asked. "Let's go and take a look." Zhang Xingyun stood up, turned off the hot pot, packed up his things, and walked out. When Zhang Xingyun and Pei Chenjin arrived, a large group of people had gathered downstairs in the girls' building. Jian Wenchen stood in the middle of the crowd, holding flowers in his hands, and confessing to Long Zirao opposite him. Long Zirao stood there without saying a word. "Long Zirao, I like you. I fell in love with you when I first saw you. Can you give me a chance to be your boyfriend?" Jian Wenchen said affectionately. The crowd of onlookers didn't know who bought it first, and then they all shouted "promise him" and so on. The students passing by also gathered around curiously and watched curiously. In college, the confession show can often be seen, and people are also happy to watch it. Chapter 556, Failed Confession and Nidoking's Breakthrough. "Thank you for liking classmate Jian. I think we are only suitable to be friends." In the crowd, Long Zirao said expressionlessly, and the eyes of the people around her who were watching the fun made her feel very irritated. But classmate Jian, don't bother me in the future, and don't do this. I don't want so many people to look at me, which makes me very troubled. After saying that, Long Zirao walked back to the dormitory. But Jian Wenchen wanted to say something, but a few words rang in his ears. After pausing, he looked dejected, walked to the trash can, threw the flowers down, and then walked towards the dormitory, staggering a little. "Wow, you rejected it so soon. Let's go, there's nothing to see. Let's go for supper. Isn't that Long Zirao, the school beauty?" The crowd also dispersed, and Zhang Xingyun and Pei Chenjin stood aside and did not move forward. "What are you doing? Don't you know that Zirao doesn't like Jian Wenchen?" The space behind the two shook, and Zimeng and Nangang Yao appeared. Zimeng spoke first. In the crowd, you two roommates are the most shouting, leading the rhythm. "Don't you know that Zirao doesn't like this?" Zimeng said again. "Meng, you can't blame them for this. They didn't do anything." Nangang Yao next to her persuaded her, and Zimeng gave up. "What's going on? Why did you do this?" Nangang Yao asked. "This may be because you drank too much," Zhang Xingyun said, after thinking for a while, and then recounted what happened after he returned to the dormitory. "I see. I remember that Zirao clearly rejected him many times. I'll talk about it when I go back." "Okay, you go back and rest first, and we'll go back to see Zirao." "Okay." Then, Nangang Yao and Zimeng disappeared from the spot, and Zhang Xingyun and the others also rushed back to the dormitory. When they were about to reach the dormitory, they saw Jian Wenchen and Lan Yachin sitting on the stone table and stone bench downstairs. "Oh, brother, there's no need to be like this. There are many beautiful women in the world. Why should we love only one? If this doesn't work, let's find the next one." When approaching, Zhang Xingyun heard Lan Yuchen comforting Zhang Wenchen. Yeah, it's okay to fail in confession. Who hasn't? If you ask me, this is youth. Don't you think so? Ha ha ha, yes, this is youth. Zhang Xingyun and Pei Chenjun also walked over and comforted him. After sitting for a while, they returned to the dormitory and cleaned up the food residue on the table. They washed the living room of the dormitory again, but this was all controlled by supernatural powers, so the speed was fast and the washing was very clean. Just after washing, Lan Yuchen and Zhang Xingyun came in. What a pity tonight. I thought it would work, but it didn't. As soon as I walked into the door, I heard Lan Yuchen's voice. Hey, boss, did you notice that Long Zero looked very bad when she left? Wasn't what we did tonight a bit bad? Zhang Xingyun also said. Ah, is that true? It shouldn't be. Lan Yuchen was surprised. He didn't pay attention to these things at that time. He was cheering and shouting. I still suggest that you two talk to her if you have a chance and say sorry. Not every girl likes to be confessed in public. Zhang Xingyun also spoke at the right time. Judging from what Zimeng said, this confession tonight still made Long Zero a little embarrassed. No way. It can be seen that she really doesn't like Zhang Wenchen. You two are still trying hard to create an atmosphere. Tonight's confession may be a nuisance to her. You two are the accomplices of this nuisance. Is that so? It's really a bit too much to be said by you. Lan Yuchen also felt that he was indeed a bit bad tonight. Find a time to apologize. Long Zero is not a petty person. Zhang Xingyun chuckled and patted Lan Yuchen on the shoulder. You better watch out this time. Don't do this. Oh. Seeing the two of them like this, Zhang Xingyun smiled and didn't say anything else. After chatting for a while, they went back to their rooms to rest. What Lan Yuchen and Zhang Xingyun were going to do next was none of his business. What he had just said was just a suggestion. On the morning of the second day, Zhang Xingyun returned to the training room to train the elves. Nangang Yao did not come with him, but went to class with Long Zero and others. They were studying for a second degree together. Who after so many resources was smashed into the life core of Rajarok on the ground. Its size became bigger. But the core has not yet awakened its consciousness, and it only absorbs energy by instinct to strengthen itself. A wave of waves came, and Zhang Xingyun turned his head and saw that it was caused by Nidoking. At this time, Nidoking was emitting a purple halo, bathing in the purple air, and the aura on his body was steadily increasing. This scene also attracted the attention of the electric shock monsters, and they stopped training and surrounded him from a distance. Because getting close to Nidoking would be injured by the surrounding purple air, which is extremely poisonous. If you are contaminated, it will be very troublesome and painful to clean up. Around Nidoking, there were also specific instruments to assist it in its breakthrough. On the ground, the yellow rocks that were originally pieces of rock also shrank a lot, turning into a trickle of water that flowed into Nidoking's body. Nidoking roared, and the sound echoed throughout the training room. A wave of air spread outward with it as a cause, and then a strong pressure appeared on the field. The purple light on Nidoking's body had converged, and his sturdy body revealed a strong pressure. It was surprising that he had successfully broken through to the first level of the king. Now Nidoking is a true king elf, not one who relied on amplification and other means to reach the first level of the king. Hey boo Q ho hoo bee. All the elves were cheering for the breakthrough of the big brother Nidoking, congratulating him on breaking through the king level. Nidoking was very happy to accept the congratulations of the elves, and waved his fist vigorously, making a sonic boom. Hassan the giant claw mantis beside him also congratulated him. He didn't expect that Nidoking had entered the king level ahead of time. He thought it would enter the first level of the king ahead of time. Nidoking shouted to the giant claw mantis, which meant to cheer him up. The giant claw mantis also nodded in response. Congratulations, Nidoking, you have broken through to the first level of the king. I thought it would take you some time to break through. Zhang Xingyun came to Nidoking's side, patted Nidoking on the shoulder, and looked at Nidoking, who was taller than him, and still felt a little emotional. Chapter 557, King Level Nidoking. Nidoking replied softly, his face was very gentle. It's good that you have broken through. Clean up the poison energy around you. Nidoking eliminated the poison energy around him with a few operations. Nidoking's control over the poison has reached a high level. Several elves came forward and looked at Nidoking. Hey boo Electric Beast patted Nidoking's strong muscles and gave him a thumbs up. Electric Beast, you have to work harder and enter the first level of the king quickly. You are the second brother in the team. You have to set a good example. Zhang Xingyun, who was standing next to him, said with a smile. Hey boo Electric Beast waved his hands, indicating that he understood. Electric Beast himself was also very depressed. Many younger generations were not weaker than him, and some were even stronger than him, such as Tyrannosaurus, Charizard, and Banglass. Although it was a little lazy occasionally, it was never vague in training, but it was still beaten on the beach by these waves. For a while, Electabuzz also trained very hard, but the improvement was very limited, and slowly it just let things take their course. Electabuzz, work hard. Zhang Xingyun patted Electabuzz on the shoulder and said lightly. He also tried to form a bond with Electabuzz, but tried many times and failed. As for super evolution, in Zhang Xingyun's memory, Electabuzz didn't seem to have it. Pidgeot also broke through to the late stage of Quaseeking a few days ago, and is still honing his strength. In the first team, perhaps only Madame Huage's strength is similar to Electabuzz. Of course, this refers to the current strength, not the combat power. For example, Tyranitar may not be able to win against Madame Huage. After Zhang Xingyun encouraged him a few words, he used the system to scan Nidoking to see if there were any breakthroughs in other aspects. Name, Nidoking attributes, poison, ground qualification, dark blue features, forced strength, king's initial skills, glare, horn butt, poison needle, gathering energy, digging holes, double kick, mud bomb, help, shadow clone, 100,000 volts, stone attack, fierce toxin, water wave, self-sacrifice collision. The changes are not big. The qualification has been improved a little, reaching the level of dark blue close to purple. From the system interface, Nidoking's qualification has a hint of purple in the blue. Purple qualification is for Nidoking's bond, and Nidoking under normal circumstances is not purple qualification. In terms of strength, after breaking through to the first level of King, Nidoking's aura is now very calm, not as frivolous as ordinary Pokémon when they just break through. Looking at Nidoking's information, Zhang Xingyun is still happy for its progress. From now on, he is also a veritable king trainer. Everyone, go back to the Pokéball first. Let's go to the wild and let Nidoking show his strength after evolution. Zhang Xingyun said, picked up the Pokéball, collected all the Pokémons, packed up his things, and walked into the wild. This training room can't withstand Nidoking's full output. If Nidoking is here, this training room must be torn down. Half an hour later, Zhang Xingyun rode on the back of Pidgeot, flying over a lush forest, looking for a suitable opponent. The best way to test your strength is naturally to have a fight, or the kind of desperate fight. The effect of actual combat is often the best. On the back of Pidgeot, Zhang Xingyun used his mental power to detect the surroundings. After searching for a long time, he still didn't find a suitable opponent. The current location is already very deep in the wild, but now he is no longer the person he was a year ago, so there is naturally no need to worry about safety. There are 3 Xianhuan combat forces in his hands, and he is also a strong ability user. Even if he can't win, escaping is not a problem. After searching for a while, he did find a king level Pokémon, but it was a little out of place. The king level Pokémon was below, in a large lake, and its aura was very obscure, so ordinary passers-by could not find it. Gyarados. Under the lake, Zhang Xingyun felt a trace of Gyarados. While Zhang Xingyun was thinking about whether to fight, the Gyarados under the lake would not wait. A Pokémon flew over the territory, where it could detect details, and dared to stay. Gyarados, with its violent temper, would naturally not pretend not to see it. A loud dragon roar sounded, and a series of destructive death rays shot out from the lake, targeting Pidgeot. Pidgeot flew quickly, relying on superb flying skills to avoid the rays, shuttled through the rays, and finally flew out safely, and landed on the ground. Roar! The water surface instantly boiled, and Gyarados appeared from the lake, with ferocious faces, roaring at Zhang Xingyun and Pidgeot on the shore. This area is the territory of this group of Gyarados. Among the Gyarados, there is also a huge Gyarados with a strong aura. Judging from the pressure on it, it is a king level Gyarados, which is also the one Zhang Xingyun felt in the air just now. Swoosh, 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 another series of destructive death rays shot over. The next moment, a big pit was instantly blown out where Zhang Xingyun was originally standing, and smoke and dust rolled. Come out, Bangelus. After teleporting to the side, Zhang Xingyun was directly released by Bangelus. Super Evolution. Bangelus quickly completed Super Evolution. Bangelus, hang on this. Zhang Xingyun took out a piece of top quality sandy rock and hung it on Bangelus' body. Sandstorm. Bangwish for a while, the wind blew violently, and the sand and gravel flew. The dust that covered the sky and the sun expanded outward under the control of Bangelus. Giant Mantis, Charizard, Tyrannosaurus, Blastoise, go. Zhang Xingyun released 3 more giant mantises, joined Pidgeot, and went forward to fight with the group of Gyarados. Swish, when the sandstorm was heading towards the lake, several balls of blue energy were fired into the sky, and then it began to rain, curbing the progress of the sandstorm. Ouch! Giant Mantis and other Pokémon also fought fiercely with Gyarados, with various moves and continuous roars. Ouch! Giant Mantis and Blastoise joined forces and quickly killed several weaker Gyarados. Then, under Zhang Xingyun's reminder, they retreated to the shore, because the king level Gyarados had taken action. Let's go, wait until it comes ashore. The next moment, Mantis and Blastoise retreated to the shore. The Gyarados that suffered in the lake naturally did not want to give up. They rolled their bodies wrapped in the rolling lake water, and rushed to the shore under the leadership of the king level Gyarados. Very good. Seeing them rushing over here, Zhang Xingyun smiled secretly. Originally, he thought that, if they didn't come ashore, they would have to leave and look for other Pokémon. Chapter 558, Performance of the First Level Heavenly King. Guys, be strong later. It's hard to attack in the Dragon Valley, but we can do it here. Zhang Xingyun instructed the Pokémons to get ready. Crash! A dozen Gyarados came ashore, and rushed over fiercely. The Pokémons around heard the noise, and fled in a hurry. Zhang Xingyun used instant teleportation to send Nidoking, Claws and Mega Blastoise to the front of Gyarados and confronted them. Nido came. As soon as they met, the battle started immediately. B-Raw, Pidgeot and Tyrannosaurus in the sky also attacked from one side, and Electabuzz and Charizard also attacked one after another. Bangelus followed the instructions given by Zhang Xingyun, and danced a huge sandstorm to trap this area. Zhang Xingyun appeared on the lake with 2 metal monsters and Haunter, letting the 3 of them fight, while Wood Gecko stood on Zhang Xingyun's shoulder, and watched the battle. Don't worry, Wood Gecko. You'll have a chance to show off your skills later. Zhang Xingyun smiled and comforted Wood Gecko. Wood Gecko looked at his fighting companions, his eyes full of fighting spirit, but it was a pity that his current strength was still relatively weak, and he couldn't help in such an occasion. Boom! The battle on Nidoking's side was also extremely fierce, and the surrounding venues were reduced to ruins. Trees were broken in half, grass and wood debris were flying, and colorful moves were flying on the field. Giant Claw Mantis rushed into the middle of Gyarados. In these few seconds, it had already dealt with 2 Gyarados. The electric shock monsters were mainly to cooperate with Bangelus to block and contain them, and mainly let Giant Claw Mantis take action. This was also what Giant Claw Mantis requested. It did not undergo super evolution, and rushed into the group of Gyarados to stimulate its potential. On the other side, Nidoking also encountered a king level Gyarados, and with its huge strength, it resisted Gyarados' surf. Nidoking held Gyarados with one hand, and with the other hand, he blasted forward with a flash of lightning. Bang! After a loud roar, both sides retreated. A water cannon was sprayed from Gyarados, and Nidoking responded with a jet of flame. Zzzz, the water and fire met, making a sizzling sound, and a thin mist rose on the field. A lightning bolt passed through the misty mist, and Gyarados dodged it with a dodgy move, and another water cannon was fired. Bang bang bang! Nidoking and Gyarados blasted each other, and the surroundings of both were razed to the ground. Other Gyarados and electric beasts did not move forward, but stayed away from the battle position of the 2. Gyarados' eyes were bloodshot, and the attack power also increased. He hit the water column tail with the force of thousands of pounds. Nidoking blocked it, and stepped back a few steps before stopping. Then his arm muscles bulged, and he grabbed the tail and threw it left and right. Under the huge force of Nidoking, Gyarados was in a mess. He turned around and bit it to pieces and rushed to kill. What faced it was Nidoking's lightning fist. Bang! After repelling it, Nidoking slightly gathered strength and kicked forward with 2 consecutive kicks, hitting Gyarados' body. When landing, he stomped on the ground, and the ground instantly cracked. A faint yellow light flashed from the cracks and ran towards where Gyarados was. Gyarados jumped on the spot, set off a huge wave, and rushed forward. In the middle of the collision, it collided with Nidoking's earth power and attacked Nidoking with the remaining force. Facing it was Nidoking's ready-made destructive death light. Rumble! After a loud bang, a cloud of dust enveloped the two, and then there was a muffled bang 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 from inside. Nidoking and Gyarados inside were still fighting in close combat. The battle on the side of the giant claw mantis was about to subside. With the assistance and interference of Pokémon such as the electric beast, the giant claw mantis only had 2 Gyarados left to attack. The remaining 2 could only resist for now, and their strength was naturally slightly stronger than their companions. But under the attack of the giant claw mantis, they let out a mournful cry and fell to the ground, losing consciousness. Our Gyarados, who was fighting fiercely with Nidoking, heard the voices of his tribe and became even more manic. Bang bang bang! Roar roar roar! Nido! The smoke and dust dissipated, revealing the scene inside. Gyarados was half embedded in the ground, and his head was also pressed by Nidoking. He was currently at an absolute disadvantage. Bloody scales were scattered everywhere, and blood was also scattered on the soil, some from Nidoking, and some from Gyarados. Roar! With his head clamped by Nidoking, his tail slapped over fiercely, pushing Nidoking back, and escaping from Nidoking's suppression. Our Gyarados looked at its fellow creatures lying on the ground in the distance, roaring to the sky. Nidoking was not afraid of it, and rushed over again. After the battle, Electabuzz and Mantis stayed aside, and did not come forward to help. This was also Nidoking's request. He wanted to fight a king level Pokémon alone to test the strength of the details. Our Gyarados looked crazy. Perhaps it was because his fellow creatures fell down, or perhaps it was because he was ambushed and could not escape. The fighting power he burst out was even better than before. This also aroused Nidoking's bloodiness. The two sides then engaged in a brutal fight. The onlookers, such as Mantis, wanted to come forward to help several times, but were stopped by Zhang Xingyun. This was also Nidoking's request. Those low-level Gyarados had been cleaned up, and he followed the Pokémons and watched the fierce battle between Nidoking and Gyarados. If there were other accidents, he would take action at the first time, and nothing would happen. Boom! The ground exploded, and pieces of broken rocks of different sizes flew up. Under Nidoking's control, they pierced Gyarados' body, causing a little blood to flow out. Nidoking raised his hand, and thick stone pillars shot over, which were smashed into pieces in midair. Nidoking rushed forward again, and the broken rocks on the ground gathered together and attacked with Nidoking again. Bang bang bang! From the smoke and dust, a blade made of broken rocks rose into the sky through the rolling smoke and dust, and then slashed into the ground. Boom boom boom! With a loud noise, the ground shook, and the noise on the field slowly subsided after a while. Nidoking, with many scars on his body, stood aside, and in front of him was a hill. There was a little frost on the hill, and Gyarados was sealed in the hill and lost consciousness. Nidoking roared, very satisfied with the masterpiece in front of him. After a hearty battle, it successfully defeated its opponent, Gyarados. It also had an intuitive understanding of its own strength. Bang! A Pokeball flew over and landed on the exposed tail on the hill, and the Gyarados inside was put into the Pokeball. Chapter 559 Celebration. Boom! There was no surprise. The Pokeball made a bang, indicating that the capture was completed. The Gyarados inside had reached its limit and had no power to fight back. I got a king level Gyarados. I wonder how much it is worth. Zhang Xingyun looked at the Pokeball in his hand and laughed. This is a king level Pokémon. Even a Pokémon with a bad temper like Gyarados can sell for a good price. Pokémons have many users, and it is a king level Pokémon, so it has even more users. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is a treasure. Zhang Xingyun remembered that when he was browsing the internet a few days ago, there was a listed company that bought Gyarados at a high price. The higher the qualifications, The stronger the strength, and the better the appearance of the Gyarados, the greater the value. The king level Gyarados in front of him is not the representative of these words. The qualifications are light blow level 1, the strength is king, and the appearance is not bad. It is fierce and ferocious. You can tell at a glance that it is very valuable. Thinking of this, Zhang Xingyun immediately picked up his mobile phone and contacted the company. Soon he arranged the rest of Gyarados' life properly. The company that bought Gyarados seems to be researching the evolution of Gyarados. They need many Gyarados to participate in related research, such as breeding. I think this Gyarados will have a happy life in the second half of his life. Blues, go to the lake and see if there are any good things. Collect them all. We have been spending too much recently. After collecting the Pokeball, Zhang Xingyun instructed Blastoise to collect the treasures in the lake. There are a group of Gyarados living here, and there is also a level 1 Gyarados. There must be a lot of resources. A large number of Magikarp emerged from the lake, staring with a pair of fish eyes, trying to stop Blastoise, but it was useless. After a while, Blastoise came back with a bunch of treasures and pointed there again, indicating something. Zhang Xingyun personally went forward and collected most of the high-level resources and put them in the storage space. After collecting, Zhang Xingyun left here and went to other places. In the evening, Zhang Xingyun rode on the back of Pidgeot and landed in the suburbs of the Demon City. He drove the car to the city, dealt with the harvest that was not needed at hand, and rushed to the Pokémon hospital. After dealing with the Gyarados clan, he encountered the Dongia clan in the deep wilderness. The Dongia of that clan had 2 king-level Dongia. When fighting with Nidoking, they suddenly jumped out, and together with the rest of the clan, they all went into battle. Seeing this, Zhang Xingyun retreated, only had time to pack up some things, and then walked around in other places in the wild and came back. For people with strong strength, the wild means wealth, the kind that can be taken at will. Please ask Mr. Zhang Xingyun to come to counter number 2 to pick up the Pokémon. Zhang Xingyun's number was being broadcast on the radio, and he came to the counter to pick it up. By the way, he took the test data of the electric shock monsters. After looking at it, it showed that they were very healthy, so he was relieved. In addition, this inspection is also to prevent the electric shock monsters from leaving hidden diseases, so they will be checked once in a while. Let's go, I'll take you to a nice meal. Zhang Xingyun said to the elves on his belt, and the elf ball on his belt swayed slightly. Every time he came back from the wild, he would go for a nice meal. This was also a routine. Looking at the guide on the phone, he chose an elf restaurant with a good reputation and started eating. At the table, everyone was in a very high mood, as if they had returned to a year ago. At that time, when they went out to hunt in the wild, they were always nervous, fearing that they would have bad luck and encounter high level elves, and they would be killed in the wild if they were not careful. Come on, let's congratulate Nidoking for entering the first level of the king today, and also wish you guys that you can enter this realm together in the near future. Zhang Xingyun greeted and received a warm response from the elves. Do you have confidence? Hey boo be woo, very good. After tonight, everyone needs to work hard and don't slack off. Zhang Xingyun instructed. Looking at the wild eating of the elves, Zhang Xingyun smiled and was very happy, even happier than when he had dinner with his classmates. Nidoking and the others were cultivated by him. From another perspective, they are also his family and his partners in struggle. Zhang Xingyun reached out to take a leg of meat handed by the electric monster and ate it with big mouthfuls, his mouth full of grease. During the meal, Nangang Yeo also called and asked why he was not in the training room. Zhang Xingyun told her the truth, and she was happy for him. After hanging up the phone, he ate and drank for a while. The electric monsters were also full. When Zhang Xingyun paid the bill and walked out of the store, a pink sports car stopped in front of him. The window was lowered, and Nangang Yeo in the car looked at him with a smile. Get in the car, I'm here to pick you up. Okay. Zhang Xingyun laughed, opened the door and got in. Boom, with a burst of engine sound, the car drove away and then merged into the traffic. Congratulations, Nidoking has entered the king level. Nangang Yeo said in the driver's seat on the road. Haha, there's nothing to congratulate. Gardevoir is about to break through, right? Zhang Xingyun replied. He had also observed Gardevoir in the past few days, and it was about to break through to the first level of the king. Yeah, it's almost there. Nangang Yeo nodded. What kind of Pokémon did you encounter in the wild today? Judging from your personality, you should go looking for a Pokémon of the first level to fight. You still know me well. The first king Pokémon I encountered in the wild today was Gyarados. I was hesitating whether to go down, but they attacked first, and then we started fighting. As a result, I sent it and many of its tribesmen in. Where did I send it to? A company that studies the life sciences of Gyarados. It should be living a life with free food and accommodation now. Haha, isn't life science just breeding? Who knows? I think it's very grateful to you. The two chatted and came to the Magic City University. After saying goodbye downstairs of the girls' dormitory, Zhang Xingyun walked back to the dormitory in a happy mood. You look so happy. Did something good happen to you, Leo? As soon as they walked downstairs of the dormitory, they ran into Lan Yuchen and the other person. Nothing. You two look like you're going out to have fun. Zhang Xingyun asked them as he saw how trendy they were. Yeah. Do you want to go together? There are so many pretty girls there. No, you guys can go. Zhang Xingyun refused. Let's go, Leo. He's not a single dog like us. He's already taken. Leo, we're leaving. Bye. Qian Xiaoming said, urging Lan Yuchen. Bye. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 560 Breakthrough Failed. Catcher Zhang Xingyun opened the door of the dormitory and walked in. I'm back. The two of them just went out. In the dormitory, Pei Chenjun was sitting on the sofa and still reading a book. Well, I met them downstairs. Why didn't you go? Didn't they call you? Zhang Xingyun responded and sat down on the sofa. They called me, but I didn't go. I don't like that kind of place. Pei Chenjun shook his head and said, you can also go out for a walk when you have nothing to do. Don't always stay in the dormitory. Look, training elves and studying in class every day are very tiring. Yeah. The two chatted for a while, and Zhang Xingyun went to wash up and bathe in the hot water. The warm hot water washed over his body and washed away the fatigue of the day. It was very comfortable. After washing for a long time, he came out of the bathroom. What have you been busy with recently? Why can't I see you day after day? Pei Chenjun asked. There's still a lot of training and learning, and Mantis is also about to break through. So Undertaking did break through today. Breakthrough, then he's a king. Great. So fast. I thought it would take some time. Hahaha, I didn't expect it either, and I thought it would take some time, but opportunities come as they come, and Nidoking broke through today. Zhang Xingyun spread his hands and said with a smile. Hahaha, from today on, you are a king trainer, and I have to call you Zhang Xian Wang. Don't try to be so mean. It's only a matter of time before your Banguilus breaks through to the king level. It's a long time. Pei Chenjun said helplessly. Even if his Banguilus is in the super evolved state, it can't reach the first level of the king, and there is still a long way to go to reach the king level from normal strength. The two chatted in the living room, and when the time was almost up, they returned to their respective rooms. In the room, Zhang Xingyun sat cross-legged on the bed, with stars flickering around his body, and his breath fluctuated a little. When Nidoking broke through today, there was an energy attached to his body, which made the energy in his body very full. There was no conversation overnight, and time quickly came to the morning of the next day. When Pei Chenjun came out to wash up, he did not find Zhang Xingyun, and did not think much about it. After washing up, he sat on the sofa and read a book. Darn, a muffled sound came from Zhang Xingyun's room, and a strong breath wave permeated, and then fell down suddenly. Noticing the movement in the room, Pei Chenjun put down the book and went to the door. Xingyun, are you okay? Pei Chenjun asked. It's okay. I failed to break through just now. Zhang Xingyun's voice came from inside. Oh. After hearing Zhang Xingyun's words, Pei Chenjun said oh, and went back to the sofa to continue sitting. After a while, Zhang Xingyun opened the door and walked out with a somewhat gloomy face. Are you okay? Pei Chenjun asked with concern. It's okay. The attempt to break through failed. It's not that easy to break through the first level of the king. Zhang Xingyun smiled helplessly. You are too impatient. It is very difficult for elves to break through the first level of Heavenly King. It is not easy for us humans to break through the first level of Heavenly King. I'm a little impatient. Zhang Xingyun sat down from the sofa and continued to regulate his breathing. After a while, his face turned rosy. Zhang Xingyun exhaled a breath of turbid air and felt much better. Try this cup of Xianxingyun. Pei Chenjun poured a cup of blood red and fragrant tea from a teapot, placed it in front of him, and motioned him to drink it. Good stuff. After drinking it, he felt a small amount of warm energy flowing in his body, calming the boiling blood in his body, and nourishing his body. Come and have another cup. This is rare. I don't have much on hand. Pei Chenjun poured a few more cups, and handed them to him, asking him to drink it. Thank you. Zhang Xingyun thanked him and drank it. It's okay. At around 9 o'clock in the morning, Zhang Xingyun came to the cultivation house of the school. Sorry, I'm late today. Then he took the electric monsters with him and came to the training room. After arranging the training tasks, he went to the side to look up books. Knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Who is it? Zhang Xingyun asked, standing up and asking, holding Regirock's Pokeball in his hand. It's me. Nangang Yao's voice sounded outside the door. Oh, I'm here. Zhang Xingyun relaxed when he heard it, pressed the button, and opened the door. What's wrong today? Why are you here so late? Nangang Yao walked in with a food box, put the food box on the table, turned around and asked. There was a little accident this morning. Zhang Xingyun said, opened the food box and started eating. What accident? Nangang Yao found a seat next to him and sat down. I tried to break through this morning, but failed. Zhang Xingyun said honestly. Are you okay? Nangang Yao asked with concern. It's okay. I can run and jump now. Those few days. Seeing Zhang Xingyun like this, Nangang Yao smiled, took out a batch of resources from her space, and put them on the ground. I have collected everything on the list. Do you need anything else now? Not for now. Treasures were placed on the ground, all of which were written on the list, and the number was no more than that. Really? Really, the rest can only be continued after the life core is born with consciousness. Zhang Xingyun explained that the revival of Regirock is not just a simple accumulation of resources. There is still a lot of work to be done. Well, just tell me what you need when the time comes. Okay. Did you get these resources from Wang Zuana? Zhang Xingyun asked casually while sorting out the treasures on the ground. Yes, Zuana and her husband are also doing this. I naturally have to trouble her here in the Magic City. I'll send you her WeChat. You can contact her for anything you need. Except for some special ones. She can get you most of the high level resources. As he said that, he took out his mobile phone and clicked on the WeChat to send it. There is definitely no problem with the quality, and there are still many discounts. Nangang Yao said confidently. Okay. Zhang Xingyun agreed, and the two chatted in the training room for a long time before Nangang Yao left to train Pokemon in the opposite training room. Chamo Hiss Hiss Wuang in the training room. The wood geckos were training hard, meticulously carrying out the training tasks set by Zhang Xingyun. Zhang Xingyun walked over to check on them, looking at their performance, nodding his head from time to time with satisfaction, and at the same time observing their movements to see if there were any mistakes, so that they could be corrected. Busy, the day passed just like that. Chapter 561 Gym Tournament. Time passed quickly, and it was time to make an appointment with a gym. That morning, Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yao appeared at the door of the Magic City Super Energy Gym on time, looking at the ancient style of decoration. The location of Super Energy is also excellent. It is located in the center of Magic City. On this land, where every inch of land is valuable, this ancient style gym was built. Let's go in and take a look, Zhang Xingyun said, and walked into the gym with Nangang Yao. It was still early at this time, and there were not many people in the gym, so it would not be crowded. When they walked into the door of the gym, a pretty girl in a white training suit came up and asked if the two were challengers. It turned out to be Mr. Zhang and Ms. Nangang. Please come in. After confirming that everything was correct, she took the two in. Not long after they walked into a bamboo forest, and a fragrance of bamboo came to their faces. Under the bamboo, there were many gym apprentices wearing training suits, sitting cross-legged on the ground practicing. Tick-tock, there is still dew on the bamboo, which sparkles with dazzling light under the sunlight. As the leaves drip, they fall to the ground, turning into many small water drops, which fall on the ground. Some of them also drip on the apprentices, soaking their training clothes. Walking past the bamboo, a big Tao character appears in front of you. The Tao character is carved on a wall. The font is very elegant and free. You can tell at a glance that it is made by a famous artist. The Chinese ability users, the ancient Chinese concept of Tao, are related to their own superpower cultivation, so they incorporate the word Tao. Therefore, the word Tao appears in the superpower gym, and it does not seem abrupt. You two can wait here for a while, or you can go to the audience seats in the battle room inside to watch, and wait for Master's AO to be free, then you can go on stage. The gym apprentice took the two to the gym's waiting room and said softly, "Then please take us to the battle room." "Yes, sir, please follow me." The apprentice walked in front, and led the two to a spacious battle room. At this time, the battle room was sparsely populated with spectators. On the battlefield, there were two Pokémons fighting, and people were standing on both sides. A young man and a middle-aged man were commanding Pokémons to fight on the field. One of them was a challenger and the other was a gym trainer. Looking at the positions where the two stood, it can be known that the young man was the challenger and the middle-aged man was the gym trainer. The Pokémon commanded by the young man was a late elite Golduck, and its opponent was a mid-elite Poopy. But Golduck fought back for a long time under the command of its trainer. In the end, the two sides competed in telekinesis. In the end, Golduck was still slightly defeated and fell to the ground, losing consciousness. Golduck has lost its ability to fight, and Poopy has won. The referee on the field raised the flag in his hand and announced loudly. Zhang Xingyun felt that the referee's voice was very familiar, so he looked over and saw that the referee was Lan Yuchen. It was a bit unexpected. Zhang Xingyun had heard that he was going to come to the gym to study a while ago, but he didn't expect him to appear on the field and serve as a referee. At this time, Lan Yuchen, who was serving as a referee on the field, seemed to feel that someone was watching him and turned his head and looked over here. Seeing that it was Zhang Xingyun, he nodded slightly. On the field, the gym trainer took out a badge and handed it to the young man. "You have met the conditions for obtaining the badge, and this badge will be given to you." Liu Zun said loudly. "Thank you, Teacher Liu." The young man bowed, thanked him, and withdrew from the battlefield. To obtain a badge, you don't necessarily have to defeat the gym trainer. You only need to get the gym trainer's approval, which gym trainer will make the assessment, and the scene needs to be recorded for the superior to review, so there is no cheating problem. In addition, those who can directly challenge the deputy gym director must have at least the elite level in the official certification. If not, they can challenge the apprentices in the gym and apply after success. They can also challenge the deputy gym director, but the probability of this is very low. Of course, it is best to be able to defeat him. Please Mr. Zhang Xingyun arrive at the battlefield within 15 minutes. A broadcast sounded on the field, calling Zhang Xingyun. "I'll go up first." After saying that, he stood up and walked onto the battle stage, looking at Liu Zun across from him. "Oh, it's classmate Zhang," Liu Zun said with a smile, his tone warm. "Hello, Teacher Liu." Seeing this, Zhang Xingyun also shouted. The person in front of him was a director of Modu University, and the one who Lan Yuchen had mentioned in the dormitory, that he should come to the gym as an apprentice. "Okay, there are 3 challenge modes available, 1 vs 1, 3 vs 3, and 6 vs 6. Which one do you choose?" Liu Zun said softly, asking him to choose the battle mode. At the end, Liu Zun said something. "I choose 3 vs 3. Zhang Xingyun said, choosing the 3 vs 3 challenge mode. "The next game will be 3 vs 3, and the gym will send out the elves first this time." Lan Yuchen waved the flag in his hand and said dutifully, giving a cheering look. "For the first game, it's you." Puff. A Pokeball was thrown out, and it was a Pop Pig, but it was not the Pop Pig from before. A Pop Pig in the late elite stage. "Then it's decided to be you." Dang, a silver-white metal monster appeared on the field, and when the lights on the field shone on it, it shone with a silver-white luster. On weekdays, the presence of metal monsters is not strong, but there is nothing to be done about it. The growth cycle of quasi-gods is long, and their strength progresses slowly. Usually, the battles were fought by its predecessors, and it was not the turn of the metal monster, so the metal monster rarely had the opportunity to show off. Wow. A different colored metal monster. Who is this guy? It's okay to be a quasi-god, but it's also a different color. This is too. The appearance of the metal monster attracted the audience's rest, and also attracted waves of sighs. Lang Yuchen also announced the start of the game at the right time. The different colored metal monster is a very good elf. Liu Zun murmured. Metal monster electromagnetic floating speeds up. Follow up with meteor punch. Dang, the metal monster moved, accelerated suddenly, and came in front of the Poo Poo Pig. With a bang, a meteor hammer hit the place where Poo Poo had stood before. Poo Poo Pig retreated backwards, and with a wave of his hand, a dozen shadow balls bombarded. Bang bang bang, a roar sounded on the field, and smoke and dust rose up, wrapping the metal monster inside. Chapter 562. The big metal monster goes to battle. Dang, a sound of breaking through the air sounded, and the metal monster rushed out in the smoke and dust, with a very fast speed and shining fists. Bang bang bang, the two fists landed, and the metal monster's comet fists fell to the ground, forming two large pits, both of which were avoided by Poo Poo Pig. Whenever the attack came, Poo Poo Pig could always avoid the attack with great risk, then increase the distance between the two, and attack at the same time. Bang bang bang, a few more true key bullets fell on the metal monster, making a few muffled sounds. Dang, the body of the metal monster flashed with dazzling luster, and Poo Poo Pig's true key bullets did not hurt it much. The metal monster uses telekinesis to fight telekinesis, and then uses comet fists to attack, doing two things at the same time. Telepathically, Zhang Xingyun issued a battle order, and reminded the metal monster. In the previous battle, Poo Poo Pig used its powerful telekinesis to interfere with the metal monster's attack, while moving its body at the same time. This fighting method is very familiar. Keng, keng, keng on the field. Metal monster continued to fight, punching out with both fists, hitting the light wall condensed by Puff Pig. Puff Pig retreated again and again, looking like it was struggling to resist. Puff transparent waves attacked metal monster, which was Puff Pig's mental attack. Bang, 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 metal monster also used the skill of light wall to resist, and then fired a shiny electric cannon to blast it. Puff Pig also shot a yellow light, and the two skills met in midair, exploding with a bang, and a large cloud of black smoke rose up on the field, covering both. Dang dang, puff in the smoke. The battle between the two Pokémon continued, and their trainers were both ability users, and the smoke on the field could not cover their perception, and the battle continued as usual. Metal monster launched attacks again and again, while Puff Pig mostly defended, occasionally counter-attacking, but with little effect. Dang dang, puff. At this moment, the two started a close-range contest. The Key Fist, Electric Shockwave, and Iron Tail of the Puff Pig, the Metal Claws, Comet Fist and other moves of the metal monster attacked each other. Puff. In the end, the Puff Pig couldn't hold on and retreated. The metal monster continued to rush forward. While attacking, the metal monster also lost its telekinesis, and interfered with the actions of the Puff Pig. Under the combined attack, the situation of the Puff Pig became more and more difficult. Puff the Puff Pig screamed, and the condensed light wall was shattered by the comet fist of the metal monster, and it hit it. Whoosh, a shiny electric cannon was fired, and the target was the Puff Pig. Boom, the smoke and dust dissipated, and the Puff Pig lay on the ground and lost consciousness. After some effort, the Puff Pig was finally taken down. The Puff Pig has lost its ability to fight, and the metal monster wins. Lang Yuchen announced loudly. What a wonderful match, Liu Zun said slowly, taking back the poo-poo, and throwing out a Pokeball. A Sun Rock appeared on the field. Judging from the energy fluctuations on its body, it was a Pokémon at the peak of the late elite stage. It's Sun Rock, Metal Monster, continue. After seeing that it was Sun Rock who appeared, Zhang Xingyun asked Metal Monster to continue fighting. Sun Rock Illusion Wave. Woo. After the battle started, Liu Zun took the initiative, and asked Sun Rock to use Illusion Wave. A series of blue ripples of energy bodies attacked Metal Monster. When it was about to reach Metal Monster, it stopped. It was Metal Monster's telekinesis. Telekinesis. Sunrock. Increase the strength. Woo. After a few stalemates, Sunrock's attack pushed towards Metal Monster. Clang clang clang. At the critical moment, its moves hit the condensed light wall of Metal Monster, and a clang clang sound was heard. When the attack weakened a little, the Metal Monster immediately launched a counterattack, and its body was like a cannonball, bang, and shot away. Woo. I saw Sunrock glowing all over, spinning, and fighting with the Metal Monster in close combat, and even repelling the Metal Monster. Woo. A blazing flame, a jet of flame. Hue hue hue. Who had hit the light wall and was resisted. Swish. The Metal Monster responded with a shiny electric cannon. After Sunrock avoided it, it also responded with a sunlight flame. Boom boom boom. The two elves started to fight on the field. The battle process was more intense than the previous game, and Sunrock had a slight advantage. After a battle, the Metal Monster also suffered a lot of physical strength and gradually became a little tired. Dang. The Metal Monster approached it again, and fought a close battle, but did not get any advantage. The sunlight falling from the top of the head shone on Sunrock's body, making its moves 3 times more powerful. Zhang Xingyun, who was standing by, naturally noticed this scene, but he only directed the Metal Monster to fight back, and did not use his supernatural power to assist it, so that it could perform at its full strength. Boom. In the end, the Metal Monster was defeated by the Sunrock. After a fierce battle, it lay on the ground, struggled a few more times, and then lay back down with a snap. Come back, Metal Monster, you performed very well. Zhang Xingyun took out the Pokeball, took the Metal Monster back, and then took out another Pokeball, and threw it out. Dang. Another shining Metal Monster appeared, but the breath of this Metal Monster was much stronger than the previous one. Its breath fluctuation reached the peak of the late elite, infinitely close to the first level of the Qua-seeking. The appearance of another Metal Monster naturally caused a noise and envy from the crowd. Another Metal Monster? This is not surprising. Liu Zun said lightly. Generally, trainers who cultivate Metal Monsters will cultivate 2 Metal Monsters, naturally for their future evolution. The game begins. Lan Yuchen announced loudly. Metal Monster, go ahead. Ara was defeated by Sunrock in front of you. You have to rely on your own strength. Zhang Xingyun said telepathically. This time he came to the gym to challenge, and he also wanted to train the second team of elves. Naturally, he was not afraid of not getting the badge. Zhang Xingyun was still very confident about this. The 2 elves on the field fought bang bang, and for a while they were evenly matched. Metal Monster is different from our Metal Monster. Whether it is close combat, long-range bombardment, or the mastery of superpowers, it is better than our Metal Monster. It seems to be at ease when dealing with Sunrock. After 10 rounds, Metal Monster has already gained the upper hand. After 30 rounds, Metal Monster has firmly suppressed Sunrock. After a few more rounds, Metal Monster found an opportunity and hit Sunrock. Bang. There was a sound of a heavy object falling to the ground, and Sunrock fell to the ground and never got up again. In this round, Metal Monster won. Sunrock loses the ability to fight. Metal Monster wins. The voice of referee Lan Yuchen also sounded at the right time. Chapter 563 Badge obtained. Thank you for your hard work, Sunrock. Liu Zun picked up the Pokeball and took back the unconscious Sunrock. Dangira Pokeball was thrown out, and a pink Pokémon appeared on the field. This pink Pokémon was a hippopotamus. Judging from the fluctuations of its aura, it possessed the strength of a Qua-seeking mid-stage. A Qua-seeking level hippopotamus? If it hasn't entered Super Evolution, it can still be beaten. Judging from this situation, this hippopotamus should be a Pokémon from the gym, not his. Zhang Xingyun observed the hippopotamus, and said in his heart. Then he made a hand gesture, and a spirit ball leaned over the Metal Monster. The aura of the Metal Monster instantly rose, and reached the level of a Qua-seeking mid-stage. Haha, I've heard that classmate Zhang has amplification magic for a long time, and today I'm lucky enough to see it. Seeing this scene, Liu Zun laughed, and said that at this level, it also met his standard for giving away badges. Next, whether the hippopotamus wins or loses, he will give away the badge. Zhang Xingyun also replied a few words, and then the two started fighting again. As soon as the battle started, he rushed over and punched. Hippopotamus raised his arm belatedly and punched out. Bang, the two fists collided, and the two Pokémons were in a stalemate. Dangai Hippopotamus's dull eyes moved slightly, and his pupils turned blue. Metal Monster's body stagnated, and with a violent shock, it shook off Hippopotamus's telekinetic control and retreated. Whoosh, as soon as it stopped, a shiny electric cannon was fired, and shot straight at Hippopotamus. Boom, Dangai Hippopotamus suddenly teleported, and appeared behind Metal Monster, punching him with a million-ton punch. Boom, when the attack was about to arrive, Metal Monster disappeared from the spot, and the next moment, appeared on the other side. In this round, both trainers took action. Not bad reaction speed. Zhang smiled and continued to help Hippopotamus launch an offensive. Seeing this, Zhang Xingyun also helped Metal Monster to fight against it. Two Pokémons, two trainers, competed in this way. During the competition, Zhang Xingyun also discovered that Zhang's ability level was almost the same as his, which was also deliberately done. Zhang's own strength was that of a king level trainer, which Zhang Xingyun also learned from the information. In this way, the two sides fought for dozens of rounds, and the winner was still not decided. The two Pokémons appeared here and there, and the audience on the field could not keep up with the figures of the two Pokémons on the field. In this way, dozens of rounds passed. The frequency of Metal Monster and Slow Hippo's teleportation slowed down. Zhang Xingyun's expression was no longer relaxed as before, and he also looked tired. After assisting Metal Monster for so long, he also consumed a lot of his energy. Dang, Metal Monster's physical strength was seriously consumed, and his breath was also low. The effect of the spirit attachment was about to pass. The state of Slow Hippo opposite it was much better. Under the command of Zhang, Slow Hippo's fighting style was extremely stable, and would not make mistakes. Metal Monster attacked many times, but was blocked. Dang, the Metal Monster launched another fierce attack. This time it was more fierce than the previous one, and it didn't hesitate to exchange injuries for injuries. Dang, in the end, the Metal Monster still didn't take down the hippopotamus, but only seriously injured it, and it lost consciousness unwillingly. Zhang Xingyun took out the Pokéball, took the Metal Monster back, and threw a Pokéball. The next moment, the electric shock monster appeared on the scene. Hey boo, as soon as it appeared, lightning surrounded the side of the electric shock monster. The electric shock monster relied on the power of lightning to float up, and its eyes stared straight at the hippopotamus. After the battle started, the electric shock monster refused Zhang Xingyun's assistance, jumped up, and attacked the hippopotamus. Under the control of the electric shock monster, multiple lightning whips attacked the hippopotamus from different directions. The lightning whips blocked the hippopotamus's retreat, and the lightning was bright. It attracted the attention of the people present, and Zhang also helped the hippopotamus teleport to another place, to avoid the attack of these lightning whips. Hey boo, the electric shock monster shouted, and the lightning flashing on its body became more and more frantic, and electric bolts shot out quickly. The ground was also sizzling, and arcs of electricity jumped in it. Bang 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 on the field. Under the crazy attack of the electric shock monster, the stupid hippo could only avoid its sharp edge, no longer attacking and defending with all his strength. Hey boo, the electric shock monster waved his hands, and the arcs on the ground seemed to be caught, jumping out from the ground, and gathering on the electric shock monster. Then the electric shock monster jumped up again, and 8 giant lightning whips surrounded its side. They were the lightning 8 whips that the electric shock monster usually focused on training. The 8 lightning whips were centered on the electric shock monster and struck outward. After sweeping for a while, they turned from 8 to 1, and turned into a giant lightning whip and shot down. The stupid hippo naturally counterattacked, but under the fierce attack of the electric shock monster, its counterattack was useless. Boom boom, after a few rounds, the silly hippopotamus was hit, and fell to the ground, losing consciousness. It had little physical strength, and was severely injured. If it hadn't been for Zhang's assistance, it would have lost its ability to fight. The silly hippopotamus has lost its ability to fight. The electric shock monster has won, and the winner is Zhang Xingyun. Lan Yuchen stroked the flag in his hand and announced loudly. There was also a burst of applause on the field, congratulating the victory of the electric shock monster. Your electric shock monster is quite fierce. I'm afraid that ordinary elves in the late Quasi King period will also lose to the electric shock monster. Liu Zun came to Zhang Xingyun and said with a smile, "Okay, congratulations on your successful challenge. This is the badge of the Magic City Super Energy Gym." Liu Zun held a blue badge in his hand and handed it over. "Thank you, Teacher Liu." Zhang Xingyun took the badge and thanked him. No, you are also qualified. I hope you will shine in the competition and spread the reputation of our Magic City," Liu Zun said loudly. After a few more words, Zhang Xingyun withdrew from the field, and it was Nangang Yao's turn to challenge. After a battle, Nangang Yao also got the badge of the Magic City Superpower Gym without a doubt. Amid applause, Nangang Yao withdrew from the battlefield. The superpower badges in hand. Nangang Yao said happily, playing with the blue badge in her hand. It was still a bit novel to get the badge for the first time. Which gym should we choose next? Zhang Xingyun asked softly. How about we go back to Nanyu and challenge the gym in Yangcheng? Nangang Yao thought for a while and asked tentatively. Okay, it's just right to go back to Changning. Zhang Xingyun agreed happily. It has been a few months since he left Nanyu province. He still misses it a little. This time he can go back to Changning and visit old friends. Chapter 564, The Mantis Request. Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yao were talking and laughing. They both left the gym and walked on the street. Thinking that they had nothing to do today, they wandered around nearby. The Magic City Super Energy Gym was originally built in the city center of Magic City. As soon as you go out, you will see the busy streets. In the sky, there are many takeaway birds carrying takeaway boxes, busy delivering takeaways. As long as the procedures are completed, small and medium-sized flying elves such as Bobo and Pidgeot can fly in the city and provide services. In addition to the elves such as Bobo bird flying in the sky, many human shadow elves on the ground are also busy. For example, the elves such as the Strange Force Unloading and the Iron Giant carrying things have been integrated into human life and are inseparable. This is also the appearance of the elf era. Flower passing by a flower shop. There are also elves such as flower leaf pedicles and beautiful flowers, greeting politely, and the flower shop also exudes the charming fragrance of flowers. Zhang Xingyun liked it, so he stopped and bought a bunch and handed it to Nangang Yao. Nangang Yao took it with a smile, and the two continued to stroll. The bustling streets, the charming fragrance of flowers, and the person he liked in front of him. All of these scenes made Zhang Xingyun very relaxed and immersed in it. Among the crowds of people coming and going, there were also many couples who came out to shop, all with smiles on their faces, enjoying the comfort of a prosperous life. Where do you plan to settle down in the future? Nangang Yao suddenly asked, looking at Zhang Xingyun. Settling down. Wherever you want, I'll be there. Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. In fact, there is no need to worry about this. We can buy real estate in the city where we want to live, so that we can live wherever we want. It can be in the desert north, where snow is falling, in the south, where spring is all year round, in the new ocean with vast golden sands. He said a series of cities in China in a row, describing the future. With his current strength and financial resources, this is not a problem. It can also be said that, as long as it can be solved with money, it is not a problem. A morning passed happily. In the afternoon, Zhang Xingyun came to the training room and took out the treasure to continue to absorb Richelok's life core. After absorbing energy for a while, Richelok's life core has grown from 1 meter in size to more than 1 meter and 4. Although its body has grown a little, its consciousness has not yet been nurtured. You have to keep up the good work. Divine beasts are not so easy to get. Zhang Xingyun encouraged himself with a smile and sat back on the chair. Hassan the giant claw mantis came over and whispered in front of him. Hassan, you said that training here can't achieve the effect you want. Do you want to go out into the wild? Hassan the giant claw mantis nodded repeatedly with a look of affirmation on its face. It was just thinking that Zhang Xingyun could take it out into the wild to fight with powerful elves, improve itself in the battle, and find an opportunity for a breakthrough. The giant mantis was also a little depressed. Every time it was about to break through to the first level of the king, it always felt that something was missing, and it couldn't explain it. It also tried the suggestions given by Zhang Xingyun, but none of them worked. In the end, there was only one simple and primitive way to break through, which was to fight. This is okay. After thinking for a while, Zhang Xingyun agreed. The giant mantis wanted to become stronger, so he naturally supported it. Guys, who wants to go to the wild with me today? Zhang Xingyun shouted to the elves in training. Ku ho hey boo nado dang. When the elves heard this, they stopped training and ran over, indicating that they were going to the wild. They looked excited and very active. We all have to go. Or we can go in batches. The main purpose of this time is to find a breakthrough opportunity for the giant claws mantis. The elves we meet will be very strong. Wood gecko, haunter, and metal monster, you should stay in the training room for training first, and I will take you out tomorrow. Zhang Xingyun arranged. Haunter and wood gecko are relatively weak, and the two metal monsters have just recovered after the battle in the morning. Madam Huaji, you stay here and watch over the four of them. Madam Huaji nodded and agreed. Although the wood geckos were somewhat reluctant, they did not follow under Zhang Xingyun's arrangement. Madam Huaji was left to take care of the four elves and supervise their training. After the arrangement was finalized, Zhang Xingyun thought that Nangang Yeo had something to do, so he did not invite her to go with him. After sending her a message, he took the giant claws mantis and other elves and rushed to the wild. Half an hour later, Zhang Xingyun rode on Pidgeot and flew slowly over a dense forest, looking for the target of the battle. In the sky, the wind blew. After sensing the might of Pidgeot, the general flying elves avoided it from a distance. There were also a few unruly and powerful elves who rushed over without avoiding it. Naturally, they were defeated by Pidgeot. Soon, Zhang Xingyun came to the place where he came last time, landed, released the giant mantis and the electric shock monster, and walked towards the inside. The forest was very lush, with towering trees. A thick layer of leaves accumulated on the ground, emitting a smell similar to rot. Hassan the giant mantis turned into a residual image, flashing between the trees. Behind it, Zhang Xingyun was wearing a combat uniform, and the electric shock monster followed behind. Alert everywhere. Now they are considered to have achieved some success in strength, but they cannot lose their cautious style. In a place like the wild, carelessness and complacency will lead to great losses. The scattered sunlight shone through the gaps between the leaves and reflected in the bushes, adding a bit of light. Boom boom boom. After walking for a while, Zhang Xingyun heard a noise coming from the front, and he quietly moved over with the electric shock monster and the giant claw mantis. Boom, towering trees fell down one after another, raising a large cloud of dust. In the middle of the collapsed trees, two elves were fighting for life and death. In a corner, Zhang Xingyun found a rice spoon snake and a mongoose slash. The strength of both sides was not much different. Both were elves in the middle stage of the qua seeking. But this is not the point. The point is that there are not only him, but also a lot of yellow birds around the two. Several of them have extremely strong auras. It is initially determined that they are elves at the first level of the king, waiting for the opportunity to move forward and reap the fruits of the battle. Here comes the work. Get ready. Zhang Xingyun said telepathically. I have been looking for a long time here and have not found it. I didn't expect to encounter a situation here. Zhang Xingyun is also like those yellow birds, hiding in the corner, waiting for the right time to move forward. Chapter 565. Fighting in the forest. Hiss woo on the field. The fight between the two elves has reached a fever pitch. The two are entangled with each other, and all the body parts that can be used as tone are used. Hiss the rice spoon snake rushed forward, rolled up its body, and the whole body fiercely wrapped around the mongoose slash. The snake head bent and bit the mongoose slash fiercely. Drip drip drip. I don't know if it is the blood of the mongoose slash or the rice spoon snake's blood dripping to the ground. Roar. The entangled mongoose slash will naturally not sit and wait for death, and struggled madly, using claws, teeth, hands and feet, and all parts of the body that can be used. Swish. Many bloody scars appeared on the body of the rice spoon snake again. Bang. The whole body of the mongoose slash was hit by the rice spoon snake's tail, and it was directly slapped and flew up and rushed forward, taking the opportunity to expand the victory. Bang bang bang. Slowly, the mongoose slash's reaction became more and more difficult, and there were some purple spots on his face. The venom of the rice spoon snake took effect. Hiss. The rice spoon snake saw this and increased its attack strength. Once again, the mongoose slash was wrapped up. The ice spoon snake opened its bloody mouth and bit it. The mongoose slash was unable to dodge and was bitten directly. The bite was on the neck. Instantly, scarlet blood gushed out and flowed out. The ice spoon snake turned on the spot and its entire body flipped over and over. The area around it was reduced to an empty space, and the flowers, plants, and trees that were originally there were destroyed. Finally, the mongoose slash in its mouth stopped moving, and the rice spoon snake stopped. It put it on the ground, and with a tearing sound, it bit off a large piece of flesh. Hiss after swallowing the flesh, the rice spoon snake seemed to realize something, holding the body of the mongoose slash in its mouth, and quickly fled from here. Years of field experience told it that the current situation was very dangerous. Roar, a large armored carapace appeared first and landed in front of the rice spoon snake. Its two extremely sharp horns flashed with cold light. Bang bang bang, then 4 more large armored carapaces landed on the ground, staring at it. Bang, there were several more landing sounds, and several Heracross arrived. Both sides stared at each other with eager eyes. Russell fuck, a huge arbok slid over, looking at the elves on the field with a pair of pupils, and its tongue kept moving. Raw Dagia roared, and took the lead. Boom boom boom, the chaotic battle on the field started, and the elves who arrived later also joined in. For a while, the scale of the battle expanded again, causing even greater commotion. So many elves appeared in the forest at once, all attracted by the noise. The earlier ice spoon snake had been broken into several pieces, and the body of the mongoose was also tattered, and the smell of blood filled the forest. The pungent smell of blood also made the elves present more violent, and fought more wildly. Hunting and being hunted depends on strength. For strong elves, this is a good opportunity to have a full meal. There were also a few clever elves who picked up some elf corpses at the edge, and quickly left the place without being greedy. There were also some greedy ones who couldn't resist the temptation, and joined the fight, to get a big harvest with their own strong strength. Cool raw woo boom boom boom, the field was in chaos. The figures in the dark also took action. As soon as the after image appeared, an iron-faced ninja appeared in front of a straight bear. A few knife lights flashed, and the head of the straight bear flew up, and fell to the ground with a thud, and blood was also spilled all over the ground. The body was held by the iron-faced ninja, and flew to the side. From beginning to end, it only took a few seconds for the iron-faced ninja to complete the hunt, return with a full load, and evacuate the place. The appearance of the iron-faced ninja made the elves on the field slightly startled. A group of flying elves also came to join in the fun, swooping down from the sky and picking up a lot of trophies. Roar, at this time, the elves hiding in the dark appeared one after another, including several first level elves. Woorolaya toucan fell to the ground, and its feathers and blood were scattered all over the ground. After several first level elves took action, elves lay on the ground one after another. Other elves naturally discovered it, and looked at the sudden appearance of several first level elves in horror, scrambling to escape the scene. Rumble roar, a big steel snake emerged from the ground, and after a first level earthquake, many elves fell down. The big steel snake moved its body and crushed away, killing many elves on the spot, with almost no power to fight back. The flying elves in the sky found something wrong, so they flapped their wings, soared into the sky, and left this place of trouble. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, sharp stones flew into the sky, and several elves who were unable to dodge fell down. Roar, another Steelix emerged from the ground, also a king Pokémon. Hiss, a Beedrill with blood on its 2 guns, put down a circle bear, and shouted at the 2 Steelixes. The iron-faced ninja from before came back again, with traces of blood on his mouth. A king swallow with bright feathers fell from the sky and roared a few times in the direction of the Steelixes. At this time, there were a total of 5 king level Pokémons on the field, guarding against each other, and no one took the initiative to attack. There were also Pokémons who were seriously injured, and bleeding on the ground, screaming. Roar, 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 a Steelix pointed in one direction, then pointed in another direction, indicating that those Pokémons belonged to it. Hiss, the Beedrill seemed dissatisfied with this division, waving its 2 guns and pointing as well. Hiss, the king swallow was also dissatisfied and hissed. The 5 king level Pokémon on the field did not launch an attack, but discussed the distribution of these prey. It was just that the result was a bit unsatisfactory, and everyone wanted to have a bite of this cake. The cause of this cake was actually caused by the slithering snake and the slithering snake. If they were still alive, they would definitely have a great sense of accomplishment. SHHH hahaha, what are you discussing? Why don't I decide? Zhang Xingyun appeared on the field with a teleportation, and Nidoking and other Pokémon came out of the Pokéball to protect him. Whoosh, the wind was blowing, and layers of sandstorms flew up, covering this area. Mega Band Glass plus the top level Sandstone. This effect is not bad. At this time, Pokémon such as Nidoking and Tyrannosaurus have all entered the super evolution state. Only the giant claw mantis has not super evolved in order to achieve the desired combat effect. Originally, Zhang Xingyun was thinking that these 5 king Pokémon would fight, and he would end the fight when the fight was almost over. As a result, the 5 elves didn't seem to start a fight, but instead discussed something. This time, Zhang Xingyun couldn't sit still, so he informed the elves and prepared for a group battle. Chapter 566, Collective Battle. Raw, seeing Zhang Xingyun suddenly appear, Steelix roared and attacked first. Boom 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 with a roar, Nidoking and other Pokémon teleported and faced them one after another. Nidoking faced the strongest Steelix. Mega Pidgeot and Mega Blastoise cooperated to face Beedrill, and Mega Tyranitar cooperated with Electabuzz to face King Swallow. Mega Charizard X faced another Steelix, and Banggerus controlled the Sandstorm to face other Quasi-King level Pokémon on the field. Hassan Giant Mantis faced the Iron Face Ninja on the field. The two turned into afterimages, flashed everywhere, and fought with bang bang bang. For a while, it was unclear who would win. Q-Ho Mega Tyranitar was very excited, because this was the first time it fought against a king level Pokémon, and it was fighting together with its second brother Electabuzz. Hey boo Q-Ho, the electric beast was wrapped in thunder, leaped up, and swung his fist, emitting 8 thunder whips that entangled it. Super Tyrannosaurus was in the air, and a dragon god swooped down, coordinating with the attack of the electric beast, attacking up and down, attacking the King Swallow directly. Rawnado, a wave of air erupted between Nidoking and Steelix, which was a contest between the two sides. At this time, Nidoking, who had entered the bonded state, had reached the level of the middle stage of the king, close to the peak of the middle stage, and its opponent was also at this level. Swish, a dragon's breath sprayed out, and Nidoking disappeared in an instant. The next moment, he appeared next to Steelix, and stepped on the ground fiercely. Invisible waves burst out under Steelix. With a loud bang, the huge Steelix was blown up, but Steelix was also a spirit that had experienced many battles. It swung its tail and hit Nidoking. Bang, Nidoking blocked it with both hands, and a jet of flame shot out from the opposite side. Steelix also slowed down at this time, and a breath of dragon collided with the jet of flame. In a hurry, the power of the dragon's breath was not as strong as the jet of flame, and it was pushed away. When it was approaching Steelix, there was a bang, and a huge rock rose up, blocking it in front of it. With a rumble, smoke and dust rose up on the field. Rumble, the ground shook. It was Steelix's masterpiece, and Blastoise and Charizard in the distance were also slightly affected. Seeing this, Nidoking stomped his foot on the ground, and a series of invisible waves calmed the turbulence on the ground. He still had the strength to attack Steelix. Nidoking had the upper hand in controlling the ground. In terms of the ability to master the ground, Nidoking has already reached a very deep realm. After being promoted to the first level of the king, he has a deeper and more thorough understanding of the mastery of this system. In the battle, he can also blend in with it and use the ground energy between heaven and earth to fight the enemy. This is also different from the first level of the Quasi-King. On the other side, the Iron Face Ninja who was fighting with the giant claw mantis turned into a shadow and quickly evacuated the scene while repelling the giant claw mantis and did not want to fight. In the fierce battle with the giant claw mantis, it still had the upper hand. Hassan, the giant claw mantis, chased after it, but lost its target in a few turns. It had no choice but to give up and return to the original place to assist Blastoise and others in fighting the enemy. The situation on the field has changed with the addition of the giant claw mantis. The giant claw mantis took the lead in supporting the battle of Blastoise and Pidgeot and cooperated with the two to attack Beedrill. Hassan Mantis moved forward and fired all its bullet punches, confronting Beedrill's double guns with a clang, clang clang sound of metal clashing. Kami Blastoise raised 3 cannons and aimed at Beedrill, emitting waves all over its body to lock onto the target. Pidgeot fell from the sky, wrapped in a layer of dense flying energy, and rushed towards Beedrill. Bang bang bang, 3 cannons rang out at the same time as Blastoise fired the dragon wave. Mantis jumped sideways and avoided it. An energy body in the shape of a dragon head rushed in front of Beedrill and blasted down. Boom, with a loud bang, a wave of air emanated from where Beedrill was. Pie in the sky, Pidgeot's brave bad move, was also fully charged, and rushed into the smoke. Boom, with another loud bang, Pidgeot flapped his wings, and flew out of the smoke. Hassan Mantis shouted, signaling to continue the attack, then closed its claws, and shot a destructive death ray. Blastoise and Pidgeot also attacked one after another, bombarding with all their strength. The noise was so loud that even Charizard, who was fighting Steelix, was slightly affected. After feeling it, Mantis' 3 Pokémons also stopped attacking. The Beedrill in the smoke was no longer moving. Boom, the battle on the King Swallow's side was very fierce. Electabuzz and Dragonite couldn't take it down for a while. Mantis' several Pokémon saw this, and were about to go over. His King Swallow knew something about the situation on the field. Seeing that Mantis and others had already broken away, it was not stupid, and started to break through. When Mantis and other Pokémons arrived, it broke through the blockade of Electabuzz and Dragonite, and soared into the sky. When Pidgeot rushed over urgently, King Swallow had already flown a distance. Just as Pidgeot was about to chase, Zhang Xingyun's voice rang in its ears, telling it not to chase. Now the elves such as Electabuzz also broke away and surrounded Nidoking. Bang G, Electabuzz and Pidgeot, go help Bangerous. Blastoise, cooperate with Nidoking and the others. Don't let them run away. Zhang Xingyun made arrangements quickly, and the elves also responded quickly. Raw Steelix also wanted to escape and took action, but they were not like King Yan and the others, and Nidoking was strong in the ground. With Nidoking's blocking, neither of the 2 Steelixes could escape. Raw bang bang bang, the Steelix fighting against Nidoking roared continuously, and its tail slapped the ground repeatedly, which was very rhythmic. Nidoking interrupted. Zhang Xingyun said directly. Judging from their posture, they were probably asking for help. The object that deserved the help of the mid-stage King of Heaven Steelix must be stronger than itself. It can also be determined that there must be a group of Steelix nearby, and the group is not small. It could also be something else, but that one is definitely not a good thing for Zhang Xingyun. Boom boom boom, Nidoking stomped on the ground, and the ground shook violently, and waves of ground energy rushed out. Hurry up, fight quickly, Zhang Xingyun urged, asking the elves to move forward quickly. Nidoking's interference may not be useful, so take it down first, and talk about it later. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 567, Crystal Steel Snake. Raw, with the participation of the Pokémon such as the giant claw mantis, the relatively weak Steelix screamed and fell to the ground with a bang, raising a large amount of dust. Boom roar, after the Steelix fell, the ground also shook, and a roar of oppression came from underground. Raw, the Steelix, who was resisting stubbornly, was overjoyed and struggled madly. This is a Pokémon in the late heaven leaking period. Zhang Xingyun released his mental power and probed into the ground. He felt an extremely powerful aura fluctuation and was approaching here quickly. Combined with what the Steelix had just done, the movement underground should be its reinforcement. Raw, a dragon breath came out of the body, and the soil it passed through evaporated out of thin air, and the aftermath rushed directly to the Pokémon such as Nidoking. He stood still with both feet, propped up a green shield, and blocked it horizontally. Boom, the light dissipated. Nidoking retreated again and again, and the Steelix took the opportunity to distance himself. Bang G, hey boo, Bangelus and others sensed the strong enemy's attack and rushed over. Rumble, the ground shook, a large number of trees collapsed, and the soil was broken. A bright figure emerged from the ground. Its body was dazzling, and under the sunlight, it reflected the broken light. Crystal Steelix. Zhang Xingyun took a look and immediately recognized that the bright figure in front of him was a very special Crystal Steelix. Raw, but this Crystal Steelix was very powerful and didn't look easy to mess with. Hassan the giant claw mantis seemed to be inspired, looking at the crystal steelix with a face full of fighting spirit, and shouted to Zhang Xingyun a few times. Super Evolution Giant Claw Mantis. Zhang Xingyun immediately activated the Super Evolution of Giant Claw Mantis, and then attached the amplification spell of Spirit Attachment, and instantly the strength of Super Giant Claw Mantis was raised to the middle stage of the king. Cooperating with Nidoking, the two elves confronted the crystal steelix. Raw Steelix rushed forward with a dazzling light all over his body, rushing forward and hitting Nidoking first. Nidoking resisted with all his strength, but was knocked back repeatedly. Hassan Mantis flashed, and came to its side, raised his fists and hit it, but only a few clang sounds were heard. A sound of breaking through the air came. It was the iron tail of crystal steelix, hitting Mantis, but Mantis dodged. Then Steelix's iron tail turned in a very flexible direction, and attacked Mantis one after another. Another dragon breath passed by, and Tyranitar and other Pokémon scattered. A blazing flame fell on Crystal Steelix's body. When the flame faded, Crystal Steelix was still as bright as before, with a dazzling body. Hey boo Hassan Nido the elves launched a counterattack. For the first time, Mantis rushed to its side, and Nidoking also used teleportation to reach its head. The electric beast was wrapped in lightning and flew over. Charizard and Tyranitar also launched their attacks. Boom boom boom, Tyranitar retreated, and a dragon's breath shot out from the smoke, accompanied by a bang bang bang. Charizard was also slapped by an iron tail, and retreated into the air. Mantis also retreated to the side. Only Nidoking was still struggling with Crystal Steelix on the field. Hassan seeing this, Mantis and others moved forward again, and attacked it in different parts. Another Steelix also came to help, and Zhang Xingyun arranged for Bangulus and Blastoise to stop it. Mantis, Nidoking and other elves surrounded Crystal Steelix. Puff puff puff, Nidoking was trapped by huge rocks. With a bang, Nidoking just broke free and the iron tail of Crystal Steelix arrived. Hassan Mantis claw blocked the iron tail with an ultimate attack and rushed over. Nidoking saw the situation and pressed the ground. The ground cracked instantly, and a faint yellow light flashed in the cracks. Charizard launched another charge and rushed over. Raw Crystal Steelix's body suddenly became lighter, and the two protruding spikes on its body rotated in place. This was a combination of lightweight body and gyro ball moves. Not only that, it also took off into the air, using both its head and tail, not afraid of the attacks of Mantis Claw and others. Bang bang bang, Raw Nidoking also rushed over, and fought Crystal Steelix together. The field was filled with smoke and dust. Nidoking and others fought in a group, with various moves, and the battle was very fierce. Head, middle, and tail. Nidoking's head, Mantis at your tail, Electabuzz and Dragonite in between you. In the air, Zhang Xingyun, who had an overview of the situation, commanded. This Crystal Steelix was too fierce, worthy of being an alien Pokémon. Now, with the joint efforts of Nidoking and several Pokémon, the situation was slowly stabilized. Boom, an explosion sounded, and both sides retreated together. Nidoking and his friends were all injured, and so was Crystal Steelix, and the situation slowed down. Raw Crystal Steelix was no longer as brave as it was at the beginning, and realized that this opponent was not like the one it had encountered before. In a one-on-one fight, it was very confident, no matter who it was, but when Nidoking and his friends moved forward together, it was a little overwhelmed. Come on, guys, hold on, Nidoking, be careful not to let it run away. Zhang Xingyun shouted. This was Crystal Steelix, and its value was limitless. Whether it was captured by himself or sold, it would definitely get a huge reward. In the spirit world, the number of Crystal Steelix is too small, even less than that of quasi-gods. Nidoking nodded, indicating that he understood, and then he and Mantis moved forward again, determined to take down Crystal Steelix. If it was just Nidoking, it would be a bit powerless, but it still needed the help of its partners. On the field, Nidoking, Mantis and Charizard, all three were level 1 spirits of the Celestial King. Nidoking and Mantis still had the combat power of the middle stage of the Celestial King, and with the addition of Tyranitar and others, they were still very confident. Another Steelix let out a mournful cry, and Crystal Steelix was stopped by Nidoking and others as soon as it made a move. Boom, without the support of Crystal Steelix, who was already injured, fell to the ground, and lost consciousness under the joint attack of Bangerous and Blastoise. Bangerous and Blastoise, who had escaped from their hands, quickly surrounded it, and, together with Nidoking, surrounded and beat up Crystal Steelix. Now, apart from a few elves still screaming on the ground, there were only Nidoking and his group. The surrounding elves heard the noise, and felt so many powerful auras, so they avoided it from a distance. Don't let it get away, capture it. Chapter 568, Defeat Crystal Steelix. Nidoking and other Pokémons worked together to besiege Crystal Steelix. Swish, swish, a sandstorm flew over the field, and a palm made of gravel condensed in the sky, slapping down hard at the location of Crystal Steelix below. Boom, the force was so great that even the ground shook. Raw Crystal Steelix roared loudly from the gravel pile. Seeing this, Nidoking and other Pokémons gathered their strength and used long-range moves to bombard the center. Boom, boom, boom. Nidoking and other Pokémons attacked together. Nidoking and Bangerous mainly blocked the ground, while Pidgeot and Tyranitar flew in the sky and attacked downwards from different angles. Raw Crystal Steelix was obviously not a Pokémon that was so easily subdued. It also launched a fierce counter-attack from the smoke, but was resisted. Boom, boom, boom. After a while of fighting, Nidoking and other elves rushed over again, with Nidoking and Mantis as the main force, and took the lead in launching an offensive against Crystal Steelix. Raw Crystal Steelix's ferocity remained unabated. Seeing the elves rushing over, it attacked more crazily. Its body, as bright as jade, was also blasted with cracks in the battle, and it was even more ferocious when it attacked. BQ Ho-Wua, Tyrannosaurus and Pidgeot fell from the sky, hitting its body accurately every time. It wanted to turn around and fight back, but was blocked by Nidoking. With each attack, Crystal Steelix roared and struggled harder. Zhang Xingyun, who was standing aside, frowned when he saw this scene, and was weighing the pros and cons in his heart. After fighting for so long, and still in the full member amplification state, the energy in the body were rapidly consumed at an extremely fast speed, and some of them could not hold on any longer. This is the wild. It is best to have some spare strength to ensure safety. If he really can't take it, he has to retreat first. It is worthy of being the Crystal Steelix. It has persisted for so long under the beating of Nidoking and other elves, and its ferocity has not diminished. Zhang Xingyun sighed and gave himself and Nidoking 5 minutes in his heart. If he still can't take it after another 5 minutes, then there is only one way to leave. Rustle in the supernatural detection. There are several obscure auras surrounding in the distance, probably attracted by the movement of the battle. Some weak elves, hearing this, ran as far as they could, but some powerful and adventurous elves observed from a distance to see if they could take advantage of the situation. Fortunately, there was new progress on the battlefield of Nidoking. On the field, Nidoking's arms were muscular, and he pressed the huge head of the Crystal Steelix and buried it in the ground with a bang. The soil on the ground also squirmed, trapping the front half of its body. Then, his body was pressed by the sand palm condensed by Bangilus. Seeing this, the elves such as the giant Claws Mantis attacked again, and every move hit the target. The field was filled with smoke and dust, and the area within a few kilometers was reduced to a huge pit. This was the masterpiece of the battle of Nidoking and his elves. The roar and movement of Crystal Steelix gradually weakened. Under the beating of Nidoking and other elves, it finally couldn't resist. It was able to resist until now, because of its strong defense and brave fighting. In the end, Nidoking used the power of the earth to end Crystal Steelix, and put an end to this battle. Bang! A Pokeball accurately hit Crystal Steelix and collected it. Then it returned to Zhang Xingyun's hand. He didn't collect all the elves on the field. He selectively collected them, and left here quickly with Nidoking and his elves. Because the elves watching were a little agitated, and had a tendency to attack by surprise, he was now in low spirits, and Nidoking and the others had also experienced a great battle, and had severely depleted their physical strength, so it was better to be safe. In the forest, Zhang Xingyun rode on the back of Pidgeot, and shuttled through the dense forest. Feeling that there were no elves tracking him from behind, Zhang Xingyun was relieved, and then appeared in a remote corner, in a damp cave. The cave was a little smaller, so Zhang Xingyun only released the Blastoise and let it guard it first. He found a place, sat upright on the ground, took out a pill, swallowed it, and began to meditate. After several hours of meditation, Zhang Xingyun's face became ruddy, and he had recovered. Finally, I've recovered. This time's harvest is not bad. Zhang Xingyun took out the elf of crystal steelix and murmured, "This is the biggest harvest this time." It was also beyond his expectation that a crystal steelix would appear here. In addition to this crystal steel snake, there are 2 king level steel snakes, a giant bee, and the 2 elves, King Swallow and Iron Ninja, fled the scene. In addition, there are more than 10 quasi king level harvests. Today's luck is good. Not long after coming out, I have harvested so much. Zhang Xingyun stood up, walked to the entrance of the cave, released Nidoking and others, and took out the potion to treat the injuries. After a few hours of rest, the giant claws mantis and others have almost recovered. Looking into the distance, the sun is hanging in the west, and the field is a little dark. Let's go back, Zhang Xingyun said with a smile, riding on the back of Pidgeot, flying at a very fast speed. Along the way, we also met many people who make a living in the forest. Most of them are in a good mood. After a day of running around, they have also harvested a lot, but their expressions are still alert. Some people have gloomy faces and look like they have been hit hard. I guess they didn't go well today. Zhang Xingyun looked at them from a distance, which made them a little nervous and alert, fearing that he would rob them. Compared with the Pidgeot under him, his aura was particularly strong, and he also had this ability. Zhang Xingyun didn't have this thought, and he left these people far behind. They all came out in groups to adventure and hunt, and there were very few trainers who worked alone. After a while, Zhang Xingyun came to the outskirts of the demon city. The outskirts at this time seemed very lively, and the trainers who came here also looked relieved, chatting and laughing in 2s and 3s. There were also many people bargaining with those who harvested, and some simply set up stalls. After getting off the back of Pidgeot, Zhang Xingyun looked around, and it was quite lively, but he was not interested in wandering around, so he drove his car towards the city. 10 minutes later, Zhang Xingyun arrived downstairs of the Jinguan building, talked to Wang Zuiner on WeChat, and then climbed the ladder to the outside of Wang Zuiner's office. "Knock knock, come in." Wang Zuiner's voice was heard in the office. After receiving the response, Zhang Xingyun opened the office door and walked in. Chapter 569, Sales and Income of Elves. "Oh, it's you. Sit down for a while." Wang Zuiner looked up and saw Zhang Xingyun coming. She continued to look at the documents in her hand. There were still a lot of documents piled up on her desk, which showed that she had a lot of work to do. The decoration in the office was similar to the last time he came. Zhang Xingyun sat on the sofa and waited for a while. Wang Zuiner finished her work and came over. "I have prepared the batch of materials you asked me to pay attention to on WeChat." Wang Zuiner sat down, poured a cup of tea, and handed it over. "Okay, thank you." Zhang Xingyun thanked him, and took the tea and drank it. "Do you want to take this level 1 elf?" Zhang Xingyun asked after drinking it. Ordinary stores cannot conduct transactions at the level of the king without authorization. At the level of the king, there are more things to consider and pay attention to. There are no restrictions for the quasi-king or elite levels. "I'm taking it. Did you go hunting in the wild today?" Wang Zuiner walked over and said with a smile. "Well, I went to the wild today and captured a few level 1 Pokemon. In addition to getting resources, I also came here to see if you would accept Pokemon. The transactions of level 1 Pokemon outside are very complicated." Zhang Xingyun said truthfully. The last time he captured a Gyarados, it was acquired by a listed company. The company naturally had authorization, but it also went through several procedures. "Okay, then you take out the Pokemon. I'll have them identify it, so that I can give you a quote." Hearing this, Zhang Xingyun took out a dozen Pokeballs, including 2 Steelix and Beedrill, and more than a dozen quasi-level Pokemon. After Wang Zuiner made a phone call, a staff member came in, took the Pokeballs away, and rushed to inspect them to facilitate the price. The two chatted, and after a while, the man came in, put down more than a dozen Pokeballs, and handed over 2 pieces of paper, one to Zhang Xingyun, and one to Wang Zuiner. Sure enough, Zhang Xingyun took a look, and found that the information of the elves written on the paper was not much different from what he observed with the system. It was just that some details were not marked, but this did not affect it. Amazing. You have taken down the elves of the middle stage of the king. Wang Zuina said in surprise. My initial undertaking broke through the king a few days ago, so I can do this. Zhang Xingyun replied with a smile. Amazing. It is worthy of Yao to like you. Zhang Xingyun smiled and said nothing. This middle stage of the king light blue steel snake is worth 1.5 billion. The early stage of the king dark blue steel snake is 900 million. The early stage of the king light blue giant B11 and the other quasi-king level elves with different qualifications add up to 1 billion, a total of 45 elf coins. What do you think? Wang Zuina said her offer. I think that, since you have reached the level of a king, you have both good strength and qualifications. A price of hundreds of millions is understandable. A novice trainer earns tens of thousands a day, an ordinary trainer earns hundreds of thousands, an elite trainer earns millions, a quasi-king trainer earns tens of millions, and a king trainer earns hundreds of millions. Okay, but I don't need the money. I'll use that amount of resources to offset it first. I won't take the rest. I'll keep it for the offset. I'll have to buy resources from you in the future. Zhang Xingyun said sincerely. Haha, you trust me so much, and you're handing over billions to me. Wang Zuina smiled with her hands covering her mouth, with a flash of surprise in her eyes. Zhang Xingyun also smiled, and shook his head, saying, there is nothing to trust or not trust. Yao trusts you, so I naturally trust you too. Besides, there are many things I will trouble you with in the future. Haha, I like to hear that, but friendship is friendship, and transaction is transaction. At this point, Wang Zuina's face straightened and continued, I will open an account for you in our Wang group, and the rest will be charged to this account. You can store it, or let me operate it. That's fine. Seeing her like this, Zhang Xingyun also agreed, and then quickly completed the formalities. One card was processed. This is our Wang group's gold VIP card. I'll give it to you. You can use the card number on it to log into our Wang group's Cheyenne Wang resource library, and you can also place orders on it in the future. Finally, Wang Zuina took out a golden card, went to the computer, and after a few operations, handed it to Zhang Xingyun. Thank you very much. Zhang Xingyun thanked her repeatedly. You're welcome. Wang Zuina said with a sweet smile. For her, it was also a good thing. While helping her best friend, she also won a customer for herself. It was a win-win situation. After Zhang Xingyun chatted for a while, he saw that it was getting late, so he said goodbye. Goodbye, I'll treat you two to dinner tonight. I just told Yao that she will be here later. Wang Zuina said enthusiastically. Yao is here? Yes, she is, so don't leave yet. You sit here for a while. I'll take care of things. When Yao comes, we will set off. We haven't had dinner together for a long time. Okay. Zhang Xingyun also agreed, sat on the sofa and waited. Playing with the gold card in his hand, he couldn't help laughing when he thought of what he got today. In the future, there will be another way to purchase higher level resources, and another one is the crystal steel snake in his hand. This is a crystal steel snake, which is very rare, even rarer than a quasi-god. Its rarity can be seen. However, Zhang Xingyun was thinking about whether he could tame it. Compared with such a rare crystal steel snake, it is very rare, with strong strength and high qualifications. However, for the elves at the first level of the king, their nature and habits have been fixed at this level, and their plasticity is poor. It is difficult to correct them, let alone command them and form bonds. It is best to cultivate elves from childhood. The bonds formed by getting along day and night are the most natural and stable. But if it is sold, Zhang Xingyun is still a little reluctant. After all, it is too rare. Try it. If it cannot be tamed within a period of time, forget it. It is best to have it, but it is harmless if it is not. Zhang Xingyun said in his heart, planning not to trade it out for the time being, and give himself some time to tame it. If it can be tamed, it is the best. If not, then there is only one way to trade it. As for its fate, it is not his business. There are special people to deal with it. No matter how rare or special an elf is, if it cannot be used by oneself, then its value will only be in trading. There is no doubt about this. Click here I come. The door opened, and Nangang Yeo walked in from outside. Chapter 570, King Level Giant Mantis. Yeo is here. Seeing Nangang Yeo come in, Wang Zuina immediately stood up and walked over. The two hugged each other and then sat on the sofa. What have you been busy with these days? Why didn't you look for me? Did you forget the old one because you found someone new? Wang Zuina complained with a smile. Oh, didn't I forget it? Now I'm here. Well, what do you want to eat tonight? Zuina, it's up to you to decide. I like it, as long as it's your decision. Nangang Yeo took Wang Zuina's hand and said gently. TSK, don't come on, you should tell him that. Wang Zuina said with disdain, looking at Zhang Xingyun. You have a good eye. Now you have cultivated a king spirit. It's rare among your peers. That's right. At this point, Nangang Yeo looked a little proud. The two continued to chat for a while, and Zhang Xingyun occasionally said a few words, and then drove to the restaurant Wang Zuina mentioned, and had a pleasant dinner. After dinner, after sending Wang Zuina home, Nangang Yeo also stayed at her home. After Zhang Xingyun gave a few instructions, he drove alone to the elf hospital and sent undertaking and the others for treatment. While waiting in the waiting area, Zhang Xingyun took out his mobile phone and contacted the communication equipment in the training room. Hey, did the wood gecko train well today? After the call was connected, the wood gecko appeared on the interface. Dang, the metal monster also came over and yelled. After Zhang Xingyun comforted a few words, he called Madame Huaju to ask a few questions, and after chatting for a while, he hung up the call. After sitting in the waiting area for a while, his number was called on the radio. At around 11 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Xingyun came to the villa he had purchased earlier. The villa has not been lived in for a long time, but there are housekeeping staff to clean it every once in a while, so it is not dirty. After releasing the electric shock monsters, Zhang Xingyun walked around the villa to check. After checking around and not finding any hidden cameras or anything like that, he felt relieved. After talking to undertaking and other elves, he went to the basement of the villa. He took out a pile of resources from the space and placed his hands on them. A faint light flashed, and these resources turned into the energy value of the system. After a while, he finally absorbed the piles of resources he wanted to absorb, and the energy value on the system also changed to a number. Then he exchanged a few natural treasures on the system. These natural treasures are very rare in reality, and they are treasures that nourish consciousness. They can't be bought from Wang Zuina, but after some trouble, they are already in his hands. Generally, Zhang Xingyun purchases resources that can be obtained from the outside world from outside, which is also for the sake of caution. Of course, this may be Zhang Xingyun's overthinking. With a batch of resources, Ridgerok's consciousness should be born soon. Zhang Xingyun murmured, walked out of the basement, and sat in the hall. The electric shock monsters sat in front of the game consoles they bought earlier, playing games. Nidoking and the others who were hardworking stayed outside. Hassan the giant mantis sat upright on a tree, and the bright moonlight sprinkled on it, as if it was covered with a thin layer of silver coat. After the day's battle, the energy fluctuations on the giant mantis were stronger than before, rising and falling from time to time. Zhang Xingyun sat in the living room and played with his mobile phone. There were dozens of unread messages on WeChat, and Zhang Xingyun replied one by one. Among these messages, there were messages from his roommate Page Engine and his classmates in the third year of high school. Looking at the situation, the giant mantis should be about to break through. Zhang Xingyun looked outside and the giant mantis sitting cross-legged on the branch under the moonlight whispered. Then he picked up a Pokémon and observed the crystal steel snake inside through the shell of the Pokéball. Maybe it was too seriously injured, and the crystal steel snake in the Pokéball was still sleeping. Zhang Xingyun thought for a few times, then walked out of the living room and came to an open space outside to release the crystal steel snake. He took out the potion and simply treated it, but it was not completely cured, as long as there were no serious sequelae. Under the dim moonlight, the body of Crystal Steelix was even more dazzling. Her Crystal Steelix's huge body turned into a red light and flew into the Pokéball, locking it and putting it away. It's almost there. Fighting is indeed the best way to break through. Zhang Xingyun turned his head to look at the giant mantis, felt its breath, and said softly, The breakthrough of the giant mantis is probably in the next 1 or 2 days. After chatting with the giant mantis and several Pokémon for a while, Zhang Xingyun returned to the room, sat cross-legged on the bed, and began to practice. Not only is the giant mantis about to break through, but he is also about to break through. In the second half of the night, Zhang Xingyun, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed, opened his sharp eyes and looked outside. At this moment, the energy outside was turbulent, with the two kinds of heaven and earth energies of steel and insects being the most active, converging towards the figure in the middle. Who in the first time, Zhang Xingyun knew to teleport, and came to the field, looking at the giant mantis at the center of energy gathering. Nidoking, and other elves were also awakened by the noise, and together with him, they watched the breakthrough of the giant claw mantis. The energy of the giant claw mantis continued to rise, and it stagnated when it reached a threshold. Between heaven and earth, the energy of the two types of giant claw mantis gathered around its body. Zhang Xingyun took out several prepared treasures from the space, sent them over with his supernatural power, and placed them next to the giant claw mantis, to assist it in breaking through. These things are only auxiliary. Breaking through the level of the King of Heaven is mainly based on the giant claw mantis. A faint light lit up where the giant claw mantis was, and the energy on the field was violently turbulent. Along with the giant claw mantis's cry, as if it was breaking free from some kind of restraint, a strong breath spread out. It's done. Zhang Xingyun smiled and looked at the giant claw mantis. This strong breath was spreading from the giant claw mantis, and it was also at the level of the King of Heaven. The noise on the field gradually subsided, and the energy between heaven and earth slowly calmed down. The giant mantis stood up, and its height seemed to have grown a few centimeters. The armor wrapped around its body became more and more vivid, like blood, and shone with a different luster under the moonlight. At the moment, when the giant mantis broke through, a large amount of inexplicable energy filled its body out of thin air, which was very abundant and almost overflowed from its body. This large amount of energy should be the feedback from the giant mantis when it broke through. Congratulations, giant mantis. After going through many difficulties, you finally broke through to the king level. You stabilize your realm here, and I will also try to break through. After Zhang Xingyun congratulated him, he disappeared on the spot with a teleportation. Chapter 571, Supernatural Power Breakthrough. Who in the master bedroom of the villa, Zhang Xingyun sat cross-legged on the big bed. Waves appeared in the room, shaking the things in the room. In the dark, Zhang Xingyun felt that there was a door blocking him. The last time he broke through, it was also this door that blocked him. And this door was very solid, and many attacks were unsuccessful. Zhang Xingyun's energy was agitated, and he bombarded this door again and again, trying to open it. As long as he broke through this door, he could break through to the King of Heaven, and become a king level ability user. With the help of the energy in his body, Zhang Xingyun launched attacks again and again. With the experience of the last time, he also controlled the energy during the attack, not letting it riot, lose control, and thus damage the tendons and veins in his body. Crack. After many attacks, the door was relieved, and a crack appeared on it. Zhang Xingyun was happy, and launched attacks again and again. Boom. Finally, he succeeded in breaking through the door. A pressure different from that of the giant claw mantis, and Nidoking appeared on Zhang Xingyun. It's done. Zhang Xingyun felt the energy bursting in his body, and his face was slightly happy. This breakthrough is not only about the energy in his body, but also about his mental power. Now, he can clearly see the energy between heaven and earth, and can actively lure them to himself. There are some other changes, which Zhang Xingyun has not tried yet, and will try again when there is a chance. Is this extraordinary power? I wonder how I compare with ordinary king elves now? What is the gap? Zhang Xingyun guessed in his heart. Is it 9 o'clock? Time flies so fast. After looking at the phone, he realized that it was that time now. This breakthrough took a lot of time from the second half of the night until now. Zhang Xingyun got up quickly, walked out of the room, prepared food for Nidoking and the others, and went to the bathroom to wash himself. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Zhang Xingyun arrived at the villa where Wang Zuan lived on time. He came to pick up Nangang. Wow, you've made a breakthrough. This aura is at the level of Heavenly King. Nangang was shocked as she felt the might of Zhang Xingyun. After saying this, Wang Zuina also looked over, with a look of shock on her face. Heavenly King? So fast? Wang Zuina said softly. Hahaha, last night in the second half of the night, the giant claw mantis broke through to Heavenly King, and I benefited from it, and broke through the bottleneck of Heavenly King. Zhang Xingyun smiled faintly, and talked about the reason for this breakthrough. Is that so? That's very fast. I don't know when I can break through to Heavenly King. Nangang Yeo sighed a little. Soon. Zhang Xingyun said, and the three chatted for a while, and Wang Zuina suggested going to the commercial street, so the three came to the commercial street of the Magic City. Zhang Xingyun followed behind, and Nangang Yeo and Wang Zuina were walking hand in front of them, strolling with great interest. Yeo, go into that store, and take a look. The two stopped in front of a dress store, and Wang Zuina said, okay. The two of them walked in excitedly, to choose clothes and dresses. Zhang Xingyun followed them in, and sat down on a sofa for guests. There were already a dozen men sitting here, some young like him, and some middle-aged men, probably with their partners. This women's clothing store has a good business, and a dozen sales girls are busy. In the distance, Nangang Yeo and the others began to choose clothes and dresses under the sales girls promotion. Fortunately, there are space rings and backpacks now, otherwise, I would be exhausted to death by this prodigal woman today. A middle-aged man said with relief, while smoking a cigarette. Yes, if you buy so much at once, it will be uncomfortable. If there is no space, you can't let her carry it. The man next to him echoed. That's right. Everyone started chatting. Brother, do you smoke? Thank you, I don't smoke. Zhang Xingyun refused. As the crowd chatted, a heroic man started to smoke cigarettes, and the area was instantly filled with smoke. Zhang Xingyun didn't say anything, but went to sit on the other side, and watch them chat. Ding dong, the phone rang, and when he opened it, it was a message of successful appointment. The gym he booked this time was the gym in Yangcheng. 5 days later, that's soon, Jo should have received the message of successful appointment. Zhang Xingyun looked at his phone and thought to himself. Yangcheng, I don't know how Big Brother is doing. Thinking of Yangcheng, Zhang Xingyun thought of Changning, and also thought of his big brother Zhang Xingfeng, who he missed. After the last time they parted in the town, they hadn't contacted each other again, and they didn't know how he was doing. As for Zhang Xingfeng, from the last time he asked about his work, he was vague, and Zhang Xingyun vaguely guessed what he was doing, but he was not sure. I hope so. Zhang Xingyun sighed, not knowing what to do for the time being. What he could do now was to become stronger. When he became stronger to a certain extent, he would naturally have the right to speak in the initiative. While thinking, he saw Nangang Yeo and the other person coming over, talking and laughing, with shopping bags in their hands. Zhang Xingyun immediately stood up to greet the guests. Let's go, the skirts here are of good quality, let's come back, and have a look next time. Yeah, I brought you here, how can the quality be bad? I also believe in your vision, Zuina. Let's go. Nangang Yeo said, and the two walked in front. Oh. Zhang Xingyun replied. He was just about to pay the bill, but it seemed that he didn't need to buy it. In the evening, Zhang Xingyun was driving the car, and Nangang Yeo was sitting in the co-pilot seat. The two were on their way back to school. Jo, did you receive your reservation text message? Received. When are we going to Guangzhou? Well, how about the day after tomorrow? Get ready tomorrow and leave the day after tomorrow. Zhang Xingyun replied, looking straight at the car in front. Okay, then the day after tomorrow, I'll place an order now. Okay, I've bought it. It's at 9 o'clock the day after tomorrow morning. Nangang Yeo bought the plane ticket with a few operations. Well, I went to the wild yesterday and captured a crystal steel snake. Zhang Xingyun said, talking about the capture of the crystal steel snake yesterday. Really? Then you are really lucky to encounter a crystal steel snake. Nangang Yeo said with some surprise. She is well informed and naturally knows the value of crystal steel snakes. Well, it was just a coincidence yesterday. At first, I didn't expect there to be a crystal steel snake there. When I got there, Zhang Xingyun briefly described the hunting experience yesterday. Oh my god, you are possessed by the god of Europe. Good things have happened in the past few days. Chapter 572, Persuading Crystal Steelix. Hahaha, my luck has always been good. Zhang Xingyun laughed. The two chatted and laughed and returned to the school. After sending Nangang Yeo back to the dormitory, Zhang Xingyun came to the school's training room. Madam Huaji, Haunter and others were in the training room. I'm back, Zhang Xingyun shouted, after entering the training room. Haunter and others heard the noise and surrounded him, shouting at him. Okay, I got it. Zhang Xingyun comforted, and then came to an open space on the side, and released the giant claws mantis, and others from the Pokeball. Okay guys, wait and watch, I'll release it, Zhang Xingyun said, holding the Pokeball of Crystal Steelix in his hand. Now the Steelix in the Pokeball has awakened, but it is very weak. Now you can try to communicate with it. A ray of light flashed, and the huge body of Crystal Steelix appeared on the scene, its crystal-like body shining brightly. Roar. After the crystal steel snake came out, it immediately let out a roar, but the sound was no longer as strong and powerful as before, and it seemed very weak. Roar. The crystal steel snake's face was still ferocious, and it bared its teeth at the electric shock monsters, and its face was very ferocious. Crystal steel snake, I think we can be friends. Zhang Xingyun connected with its soul, and said in a gentle tone. He also exuded a kind of aura that made the elves feel friendly, which could remove the elves' psychological defenses. Roar. The crystal steel snake's voice was a little softer, but it still looked hostile, which was normal. Crystal steel snake could reach this level today, and its experience must be rich and colorful, and it would not be easily affected by Zhang Xingyun's ability. You don't have to do this. We didn't kill you in your prime. With your current state, what do you think your resistance will do? I think we can talk. I'm sincere, Zhang Xingyun said calmly. His eyes were calm, and he was telling the truth. With Crystal Steelix's current state of being seriously injured, he could suppress it without the help of the giant claw mantis. Raw. Crystal Steelix seemed to know this, but still had a face full of vigilance, roaring, expressing something. Zhang Xingyun also continued to speak, appearing very sincere, and also described some of its problems in terms of strength, training, resources, etc. Raw. Crystal Steelix roared, still the same as before. Hey boo. The electric shock monster was very angry when he saw Crystal Steelix's appearance, and lightning flashed all over his body, and he wanted to teach it a lesson. Electric shock monster, calm down. Zhang Xingyun stopped the electric shock monster, and then spoke to Crystal Steelix. But the Crystal Steelix was still in the same state, unmoved. Forget it, let's talk about it next time. These foods are for you. Zhang Xingyun saw this and stopped talking, throwing a bunch of prepared Pokémon food over. Raw. The Crystal Steelix sniffed and started eating. Since it was like this, it was naturally not afraid of the food being problematic or anything. After it finished eating, Zhang Xingyun picked up the Pokeball and took it back. These Pokémon foods tasted very delicious, but the energy was very low. This was a means of trying, in terms of appetite. Actually, its reaction is not incomprehensible. After all, its strength is not weak, surpassing any of us, but this kind of surpassing will soon disappear, so try to persuade it again, when the time comes. Zhang Xingyun chuckled, and said to the electric shock monsters. Hassan. The giant claw mantis came out and whispered softly. It's hard to defeat the giant mantis, if you face it. The Crystal Steelix's qualifications are not worse than yours. It's also an elf species, and its combat power is comparable to some Peak Kings. Zhang Xingyun analyzed that with the current strength of the giant mantis that has just broken through the first level of the king. If it bursts out with all its strength, it is still slightly inferior to the Crystal Steelix. Train well, and soon, you will be able to reach that level, Zhang Xingyun said confidently. Nido Hassan. Hey boo. At 11 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Xingyun returned to the dormitory. No one was seen in the living room, and there was no breath of the three of them in the room. What are you doing? It's so late, and you are not in the dormitory, Zhang Xingyun said puzzledly, then put away his clothes, and went to the bathroom to wash up. Afterwards, he sat on the sofa, and looked at his mobile phone, bound the gold card given by Wang Zuana, and logged in. After several verification steps, Zhang Xingyun successfully logged in, opened the website, and started to look. The power of Wang Group is not small. Zhang Xingyun was surprised. There are resources of various attributes on this website. It is very complete and divided into categories. From elite to king, these levels of resources are all managed. There are only a few champion level resources, but this is enough for a king level trainer. Click the door of the dormitory rang, and Zhang Xingyun walked in from outside with a meal in his hand. At this time, it should be a midnight snack. Oh, you are back. Seeing Zhang Xingyun sitting on the sofa, Zhang Xingyun said, came to the sofa and sat down, putting the midnight snack in his hand. It just so happens that I bought some more. Let's eat together. Okay, I came back not long ago, just finished washing up, and you came back. Zhang Xingyun was not polite, and they ate midnight snacks together. Xingyun, I have to go back to Yangcheng the day after tomorrow. The Yangcheng gym over there has been booked. By the way, do you want to go with me? Zhang Xingyun thought of the day after tomorrow and asked. Yangcheng, I won't go this time. I have some things to deal with these days, so I won't go. I'll go next time, if there's a chance. That's a pity. Yeah, there are some things to deal with. Zhang Xingyun didn't say anything more. He finished the food in his hand and cleaned up. By the way, where did Yujin and the others go? Why didn't I see them? Zhang Xingyun asked. Maybe they went out to play. I'm not sure. It's possible. They often go out to play recently. They said they went to a disco or something. I hope their strength doesn't fall behind. I hope they can put more effort into training the elves. Zhang Xingyun nodded. He often persuaded these two roommates. We don't know how to say this, but now strength is more important, and entertainment is second. When strength is improved, entertainment will naturally come. Hahaha, I think so too. After the two chatted for a while, Zhang Xingyun returned to the room, sat cross-legged on the bed, and started practicing. Chapter 573 Rushing to Yangcheng. The next day, Zhang Xingyun opened his eyes as usual, got up, opened the door, and went to the bathroom to wash up. Kachahahaha, let me tell you, last night was really interesting. The door of the dormitory rang, and Lan Yujin and Kan Xiuming walked in. In the bathroom, they could still hear it clearly. Hey, Xingyun, you're back. I thought you weren't back. Lan Yujin looked at Zhang Xingyun who walked out of the bathroom and said, well, I came back last night. Where did you two go to play? You stayed up all night again. Zhang Xingyun nodded and replied, sitting down next to the two of them. I went out to sea yesterday, and was on a yacht last night. It was quite interesting. Lan Yujin smiled, feeling very happy about yesterday's experience. That's good. Zhang Xingyun nodded without comment, and then said, you can't delay your Pokémon training too much. You have to train more. If you have time, you can also go to the wild for actual combat. While increasing combat experience, you can also earn some income. Yeah, I haven't slacked off in training. Lucario has already broken through to the middle stage of Aqua Seeking. I have also been to the wild several times. That's good. The three chatted for a while, and Zhang Xingyun also invited the two to go to Yangcheng, but coincidentally, the two had already made an appointment at the gym, so they could only regretfully express that they would not go to Yangcheng together. Next time, I won't be a light bulb this time, hahaha. Lan Yujin said with a smile. It's alright. Zhang Xingyun also smiled and replied. In the morning, after settling the giant claws mantis and others, Zhang Xingyun came to the Trainer Association of the Magic City to handle the trainer level update. After handling it, Zhang Xingyun came to the Breeder Association of the Magic City to make energy blocks. The energy cubes made before, after such a long time of consumption, are not much left, and another batch must be made. After completing the formalities, Zhang Xingyun came to the machine room and operated the machine skillfully. Buzz 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 the machine roared, and Zhang Xingyun began to put in tree fruits and other materials to make energy cubes. Perhaps because of the breakthrough in strength, making high level energy cubes seemed handy, and the production efficiency was greatly improved. The quality of the energy cubes produced was also much better. Buzz 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 in the machine room. The machine roared and emitted a burst of heat. Madam Huaji stood by, sorting the materials and helping him make energy cubes. Box after box of energy cubes were steaming and filled with fragrance. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Zhang Xingyun had made enough energy cubes for a period of time. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so let's do it this way first. It will be enough for a long time. Zhang Xingyun packed up his things, put them away, opened the door of the machine room, completed the formalities, and left here. Later, Zhang Xingyun appeared in the specialty products shopping street of Modu, and came here to buy some local specialties. There were many stall owners on both sides of the street shouting their own products, and many people were standing in front of the stalls to choose items. Zhang Xingyun walked over and bought some of them because they looked good. Buying these specialties, you can give some to people when you visit them, when you return to Changning. After a round of shopping, he bought a lot of things and put them in the space. Seeing that he had bought almost everything, Zhang Xingyun also returned to Modu University and had dinner with Nangan Yeo. After dinner, he took a walk on the campus. What were you busy with today? Nangan Yeo asked casually on the way. I went to make energy cubes. By the way, these are for you. I made one for you. Zhang Xingyun stopped and took out the energy cubes he made for her from the space. Okay. Nangan Yeo smiled and took it. I also bought some local specialties in the afternoon. I plan to go back to Changning to visit Principal Li Yuning and send some specialties. They took good care of us when we were in the 3rd year of high school. Yeah, I should. Will your roommates go with you when you go back to Yangqing this time? Yachin and the others have something to do, so they can't go together. Zhang Xingyun asked. That's a coincidence. Zhao and the others also said they don't have time because she and Meng Meng have an appointment in the Magic City and can't leave. That's a coincidence. Yeah. The two walked and talked, chatting about some trivial things, strolling on the campus road. After sending her downstairs to the dormitory, Zhang Xingyun returned to the dormitory. After returning to the dormitory, Lang Yachin and the other two were all there. They sat on the sofa and chatted for a while. Zhang Xingyun washed up and went to rest early. He didn't practice that night and fell asleep on the bed. The next morning, Zhang Xingyun appeared on time downstairs of the girls' dormitory and picked up Nangan Yeo. The two had breakfast in the cafeteria and rushed to the Magic City airport. After going through security check and verifying the information, I boarded the plane. The plane roared, and I only felt a vibration. The plane started to move, taxiing quickly on the long ground runway, and then soared into the sky, flying straight into the clouds, flying towards Guangzhou. Today's weather is good, another sunny day. Zhang Xingyun looked at the white clouds and the bright sunshine outside the window, and whispered softly, if everything goes well, we should be able to reach Guangzhou at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Nangan Yeo next to him said, well, if there is a chance, let's try to ride the elves to travel and appreciate the grand scene of the road along the way. Zhang Xingyun nodded. Okay, otherwise, when we come back, we won't buy a ticket and fly directly back to the Magic City. You have also broken through the first level of the King of Heaven. With the current situation, you have enough strength to travel in this wilderness. At this point, Nangan Yeo also became interested and planned with great interest. Okay. Zhang Xingyun smiled and nodded slightly, agreeing with her plan. Who the plane flew through the clouds. Some elves approached, but were driven away. Instead, they encountered a few elves fighting in the sky. The plane flew around them. It continued to fly towards Yangqing. The journey was relatively smooth. At around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the plane that Zhang Xingyun and his partner took landed at the airport in Yangqing. The two followed the crowd and walked out of the airport. Brother, I knew you would come to pick me up. Nangan Yeo shouted and ran towards Nangan Yan, and Zhang Xingyun followed behind. Haha, I knew you would arrive in Yangqing at this time. Nangan Yan also greeted him with a smile. After giving Nangan Yeo a hug, he nodded to Zhang Xingyun, which was considered a greeting. Let's go, get in the car first. I have prepared your favorite dishes at home. Nangan Yan said with a smile, leading the two to an open space on the side and taking out a black luxury car from the space. The three of them got in the car, the engine roared, and they drove out of the airport and merged into the traffic. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 574 Yi Crossing Visits. The black luxury car drove into a group of villas and stopped in front of a luxurious villa decorated in a Western European style. As soon as the car stopped, 7 or 8 people dressed as servants came out of the villa, led by an old man who looked like a butler, and greeted them. They called Zhang Xingyun and Zhang Xingyun young master and little master. Is the food ready? It's ready. Yes. Zhang Xingyun led the two of them and walked in. After entering the gate, walking on a long red carpet, turning a few times, they saw a long dining table. The walls were covered with famous paintings, most of which were famous paintings from Western Europe, and a few were famous paintings from China. After the three of them sat down, people dressed as servants brought plates of delicacies to the table, which were colorful and delicious, with tempting aromas. Zhang Xingyun took a look and saw that there were as many as 27 dishes served, all of which were expensive dishes, and one of them was an expert in the ancient Chinese court. Come on, Joa, eat more. I know you like to eat, so I asked them to prepare it. Zhang Xingyun smiled gently and picked up food for Zhang Xingyun. Thank you, brother. Zhang Xingyun smiled and thanked him, then turned to Zhang Xingyun and said, do you like these dishes of Xingyun? If not, ask them to make more. No, I like all of them. Zhang Xingyun moved his bowl and chopsticks and started eating. Hey, you have a breakthrough. Zhang Xingyun looked over and said after feeling it. Yes, I just broke through a few days ago. Zhang Xingyun said truthfully. Well, not bad, not bad. You have broken through to the first level of the king at this age, and you are also the best among your peers. Zhang Xingyun said very satisfied, with a look of approval in his eyes. Buzz buzz buzz, the mobile phone next to Zhang Xingyun vibrated, picked it up, looked at it, and then put it down, and continued to talk to Zhang Xingyun. Brother, if you have something to do, go and do it first. Seeing this scene, Zhang Xingyun said, it's nothing serious, come and eat more. Brother, don't serve so much, Lei Xingyun will give you some. Oh, okay. At the dinner table, Zhang Xingyun didn't eat. He watched her eat and fiddled with his phone. Since you're here this time, stay a few more days. Yeah. Buzz buzz buzz. At this time, his phone rang again. Zhang Xingyun frowned slightly, put on the headset and answered it. Okay, I know. Well, I'll take care of it. Dong Joa, I'm sorry this time. Now I have something to deal with. I've arranged the room here according to the instructions from above. It's the original one. Okay, brother, go and get busy. Be careful. Well, the above has also prepared a room for you. If you don't know, ask them. Okay. Zhang Xingyun replied. Well, you guys eat. If it's not enough, ask them to make more. You don't have to be polite. Zhang Xingyun said loudly, then took the things and walked out. Okay, we don't need service here for now. We'll call you if we need you. You can go down first. After Zhang Xingyun left, Zhang Xingyun stepped back to the servants, who were serving beside him. It's a bit uncomfortable to be surrounded by so many people. I can see that, and I know you're not used to it, so I'll let them go. Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. Oh. Zhang Xingyun responded and continued to eat. Dong dong. At this time, his mobile phone rang. He picked up the phone and saw that it was Yi Crossing calling. Hello. Hahaha, Xingyun, you came to Yangcheng. Yes, I just arrived not long ago. Zhang Xingyun replied. Where are you now? I'll find you when I have time. Okay, I'll send the location later. Okay, you are here to challenge the gym in Yangcheng this time. Yes. The two chatted for a while and then hung up the phone. Who is it? It was Yi Crossing who called and said he would come when he had time. Zhang Xingyun said truthfully and continued to eat the food on the table. Oh, I remember he went to a national university, also in Yangcheng. Yes. No wonder. In the evening, Yi Crossing came to the villa. Haha Xingyun, you are amazing. You actually live here and have servants to serve you. Yi Crossing smiled heartily and walked over. The two hugged each other and then separated. No, I'm staying here temporarily. This is her home. Oh, so it's your home, Nangang. Well, come in and talk. Zhang Xingyun greeted and led Yi Crossing to the living room. How do you feel in the magic city? Are you living well? After sitting down, Yi Crossing asked. It's okay. Everything is going well. How about you? Are you doing well in the National University? Of course, I have gained a lot of experience here. Hahaha, I can see that you have matured a lot compared to before. Hahaha. The two have a very good relationship. They are old classmates and have been superiors and subordinates for a period of time. They have a deep friendship. As soon as they met, they started chatting. Nangang Yeo sat aside to accompany them and occasionally said a few words. When I arrived at the National University, I found that the geniuses in my class were stronger than each other. Even if I tried my best, I couldn't catch up. It's not like you in the Magic City, where you are doing well and far ahead of your classmates. You are a celebrity. Yi Crossing flattered, with a look of admiration on his face. So how is your Pokémon strength progressing now? Nangang Yeo next to him continued. As for strength progress, it can't be compared with you two. Yi Crossing looked at Nangang Yeo and continued. Currently, I only have 2 Quaseeking level Pokémons, one in the middle stage, and one in the early stage, which just broke through a few days ago. Very good. Zhang Xingyun also nodded and agreed. Zhang Xingyun remembered that when Yi Crossing was still an investigator in Nanhei City, his Pokémon was still at the elite level, but now he has already reached the middle stage of Quaseeking. This progress is already very fast. If your Jenga is combined with Super Evolution, what level can it reach? Zhang Xingyun asked. Super Evolution? If you add Super Evolution, your strength will be improved to the level of the late Quaseeking. Speaking of this, it takes a lot of energy to perform Super Evolution. I can only maintain it for 7 or 8 minutes at most. You are a super ability user, so you should be able to maintain it for a long time. I have seen super evolutions performed by super ability users in our school. They lasted for a long time and were still energetic. Yi Crossing said enviously. He was envious of the bonus of those super ability users. Yes, it can be maintained for a long time. Zhang Xingyun replied. He was different from Yi Crossing. If he had the physique of breaking through the first level of the king, it would be no problem for him to super evolve in a competition. Chapter 575 Warriors and Fighting Gym. The gym match is scheduled for that day, the day after tomorrow. Zhang Xingyun replied. The day after tomorrow, that's great. Let's go to the attractions in Yangcheng tomorrow. I don't have classes tomorrow. Yi Crossing said excitedly. Okay, I don't have anything to do tomorrow. Zhang Xingyun agreed. Okay. At about 11 o'clock in the evening, the three of them separated at a restaurant in Yangcheng. When they returned to the villa, they found that Nangang Yan had not returned yet. Brother, haven't you returned yet? Nangang Yeo asked a servant. Not yet. The servant replied. Hey, brother must be busy again. That's how an investigator is, and he's an investigator in Yangcheng, so he must have a lot of things to do. Zhang Xingyun could understand this point. He had also worked as an investigator for a period of time, and knew how busy an investigator was. At that time, he was working in Nanhei City, which had just been established, and the affairs were very busy, not to mention Yangcheng. Maybe, let's just watch TV. Nangang Yeo said softly, then sat down on the sofa in the living room, turned on the TV and started watching, while Zhang Xingyun accompanied her. Hahaha, so funny. A comedy called The Great Warrior was playing on TV, and Nangang Yeo patted him beside her happily. The funny scene on TV also made Zhang Xingyun pull the corner of his mouth, took the snacks she handed over, and watched TV with her. It felt very good, very comfortable, and relaxed, watching this very funny The Great Warrior. It's really interesting. That Ditto is really funny. I want to train a Ditto now. Nangang Yeo said with a smile. It's not impossible. As long as the elves like Ditto are properly cultivated, they can play a big role. Zhang Xingyun echoed out loud, saying that Ditto is a kind of elf, which is very tasteless, but also very powerful, and it depends on the level of training of the trainer. Like in the TV series, the Ditto is very good. It can transform into land, sea and air. It has different uses at different times. It can also attach to the protagonist and transform into a set of armor. While protecting the person, it can also fly as a flying vehicle and turn into a cannon to bombard. Although the Ditto in this play is a bit far-fetched and a bit outrageous, it is also a use of Ditto. Seeing ditto like that, Zhang Xingyun thought of Dream. The last time he met it in the Magic City, it disappeared in a hurry before he said anything, and he didn't know where it went. Zhang Xingyun shook his head. He was not qualified to know what the elves of Dream did. Seeing that it was almost done, Zhang Xingyun got up, washed, returned to the room, sat cross-legged on the bed, and practiced with a faint light on his body. The next day, Nangang still didn't come back. After breakfast, Yi Crossing also came, and the three of them went to play in Guangzhou. After visiting most of Guangzhou, and visiting attractions that he had never been to, Zhang Xingyun once again experienced the customs of Guangzhou. Yi Crossing, take a picture for us. Nangang Yeo handed over a camera, holding Zhang Xingyun's arm, and now stood in a well-lit place. Behind them was an ancient building, which was said to be left over from the Republic of China period. Along the way, they took a lot of photos, and left many memories. Wanfo Temple, Old Street, Old Customs of China, etc. were visited again. It was very pleasant during the tour, and no accidents happened. It was not until about 12 o'clock in the evening that they returned to the villa. You're back. Where did you go to play today? Nangang sat on the sofa in the living room. Brother, when did you come back? I came back not long ago. I went to several places today, and these are the photos we took. Nangang Yeo took out the photos taken during the day. Just have fun. I originally planned to take you for a walk, but unfortunately I didn't have time. Nangang said with some regret. It's okay, brother, when are you free? We can go out again. Yeah. Nangang sat up straight and brewed some fragrant tea, and the fragrance of tea filled the air. Yangcheng Gym, also known as the Fighting Gym, the owner Yi Yuan is a powerful ancient warrior. You should know about it. Nangang looked at Zhang Xingyun and said lightly, yes. I won't say anything like come on, with your current strength, it won't be a problem to get the fighting badge. Zhang Xingyun didn't say anything, took the tea handed to him and drank it. After chatting for a while, Zhang Xingyun also returned to the room and started practicing. Zhang Xingyun was full of confidence in tomorrow's gym competition, and didn't think it would be difficult. According to the scale of the Magic City, the staffing of the gym in Yangcheng is probably similar. The owner is also a champion level trainer and a champion level warrior, or an ancient warrior. Warriors are acquired through acquired practice, using the secrets of China's ancient martial arts mind method to redevelop the body and refine the energy feedback obtained from the contracted elves to reach the extraordinary state. I heard that when ancient warriors reach a high level of cultivation, they can fly in the sky and possess a force of 1,000 kilograms. Even if they fight against elves one-on-one, they will not lose. Ancient warriors. Zhang Xingyun murmured. Thinking of ancient warriors, he thought of the king of Sheba in the anime. That was the kind of person who relied on the strength of his physical body to fight a huge rock snake in just one. The next morning, Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yeo arrived at the fighting gym in Yangcheng on time, and Yi Crossing was also there to accompany them. Bang 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 ha walking into the gym. There were clapping sounds and shouts everywhere. It was the apprentices of the gym who were practicing, and there were elves following them. People and elves practiced together. Along the way, some of them sat cross-legged on the ground, quietly regulating their breathing. Some were competing with each other, going back and forth, countering each other's moves. Here, most of them were men, wearing black shorts and sweating profusely, or sitting cross-legged on the ground, or beating sandbags, or competing with elves, with the sound of muffled blows and loud shouts. This is where the junior apprentices practice. Over there is where the senior apprentices practice, and this is where those who have practiced key power practice. Yi Crossing pointed at the venue, and introduced it to the two. It seemed that he was very familiar with this place. It's still quite hard. You practice in the hottest days of summer and the coldest days of winter. It's not easy to get started after practicing for many years. Zhang Xingyun looked at the apprentices who were training hard in the distance and said with some admiration, as a warrior who has acquired extraordinary power after birth, the hard work he puts in is naturally not comparable to that of natural supernatural powers, but this is also a way. Yes, it's tiring and the long period of time makes many trainers stop. Yi Crossing agreed, and the current situation of warriors is just as he said. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like, Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.